in power. They didn't give it to us. And would have rallies. You saw the rallies, 50, 60,000 people. And I'd have less people than Joe Biden, who had 5 people show up. And I'd have 55,000 people show up, and I had fewer people than him. So they should have done a much better job. And frankly, the president should make a very strong statement to the outside world, because I think my team is incredible. Look, they say it's the best run campaign they've seen. Some people said it's the best run campaign they've ever seen. But in order to make that stick, you have to win.
How do you feel compared to your past campaigns? Are you more confident now than you were about your team than you were in the last 2 races?
My team, I'm very confident in. Many of them are the same players. As you know, Susie, a lot of the people are the same players. They've been very good.
Mr. President, Oprah said there's a rally last.
Trying to see what's going on with this election tonight, man. Who gonna take it, man? Who gonna win, man? Just gonna bounce around with different channels. And
I think it's that she's a vote for women. I think it's a way to protect our right to abortion, to the freedom of democracy, just all of these things that I think that Donald Trump is not providing us with.
So, Milind, what brought you to this campaign?
The opportunity to, I think, activate the South Asian electorate in this country was something that, was impossible to pass up. I think in the last few months we've seen South Asians in every corner of the country get involved in the campaign however they can, making calls, knocking doors, writing postcards, creating videos, making songs. Everyone has chipped in their time, their energy, their effort, and I think we'll see it in the South Asian kind of margins in the election tonight.
So, Ranik, what is it that really excites you? Is it the Democrat Party, or is it the Indian origins of Kamala that is the added oomph?
See, Indian when they
Well,
talking
it's
to Indian,
important
they
to
say
be able
black
to really
when they
get
talking
her
to black
story,
people.
because I do.
That shit kills
I also
me.
went home every summer to walk with my grandfather, which was really touching and something I relate to her on. But really, more than that, it's the substance, and it's about democracy, right? It's about protecting our rights, especially as a female, especially as a mother, that we have to stand up for our children. And I do believe that Kamala Harris is the best person for that, best leader.
Chintan, just how remarkable would it be for the U.S. to have a woman president and of immigrant origin at that?
Yeah, I mean, look, this is an incredible opportunity. I mean, we're at the cusp of doing something historic. We're about to elect the first woman president of the United States of America, who also happens to be the first South Asian president, the first black woman president. Her story is actually quintessentially an American story. It's an immigrant story. It's one powers
one that was made up to get to the top.
I think, the South Asian community, all Americans are very excited about this possibility of what we're going to do tonight.
Zoreen, tell me, is the best thing about Kamala Harris that she's not Trump or Trump-like?
I mean, I think that's certainly a
Can't deal
perk,
with
but
him.
I think she offers a lot more beyond that. I think that she has been in so many different parts of the
What's going on over here? Yeah, that ain't got nothing going on.
Just want to give one more shout out to the South Asian voter base across the country. Like Chintan said, this is going to be a victory for all Americans, but it's been inspiring to see our community specifically, whether they're new voters, longtime volunteers, find a way to chip into this campaign and make this an effort that represents America and what America can be.
Right, now this is a watch party.
What's going on over
their
here with
time
Benny
and
Johnson?
requested that ballot like within a week, Benny. They didn't, a lot of them, we heard this from a lot of people, they didn't get them in time. And if you requested your ballot, you cannot just walk into an election day, polling station on election day and say, hey, I want to vote
Welcome
today.
to
You
the
can't
channel.
do that. They're
Click
going to
that
say,
like,
no, you didn't get your
subscribe.
ballot, now you have to do
We
it
just
provisional.
out here
So
live
they were
and
very
vibing
democratic in 2020.
and looking
Because of this,
at this
I'm not sure
election.
they're going to be that democratic again. But
Because a lot of people don't understand this is an important election. You know, don't matter what side you vote for, it's definitely important. And I believe this election will change people's lives more than they think, more than any other presidential race. And I'm kind of an old man. I've seen a few presidential races, and I think this will be the most important presidential race in my lifetime. My kids may see something else crazy, but I think we're seeing the most craziest shit on the planet right now.
I mean, come on. So you just gotta wait. It's the game we have to play. Not all states are like this, but this is.
Final, very quickly, what is on the map that we should watch next?
So I know this is nuts. I'm looking at places, and I know it's been called, but well, some places have been called. I'm looking at areas in New Jersey. I'm looking at like Ocean County and Monmouth County. Morris hasn't reported anything yet, but Gloucestershire, which now as the election day vote comes in, it looks like Trump is gaining. Why? Because they're just overlapping demographics, tri-state area, and that's been Biden won Gloucestershire by 2 points. If he was going to gain significantly, we would have seen that gain in like an area like Monmouth County, New Jersey. Educated white voters, middle to high income, and Benny
little
right
channels
now,
get big,
he
like your
won it by
favorite
like
big
3.5
channel. If
points in
someone gave him
2020.
a shot,
Right
hit
now,
that
he's up on
like,
Kamala
hit that
Harris
share,
by
you
almost
know.
6.8.
Like I said, we
So,
just here
again, I'm
bouncing
looking at
around,
those
looking
areas
at what
because
they
the early vote
saying.
comes in, it
I'm
distorts
smoking
everything,
and
and
drinking.
people don't know
I
what they're
know what
looking
you're
at. I'm
doing,
looking at
but
the
that's what I'm
trends of
doing.
complete, more complete data from early and election day vote. You can see Monmouth right there. Look at that. That's so far an overperformance.
So it's a massive overperformance. We're seeing that, at least in the exit poll. We'll see what happens when it all breaks down. I mean, this is crazy. So Donald Trump presidential win chance has shot back up now to 71%.
Yeah, because we're getting more complete data, okay, from like that early vote comes in and no honest or intellectually honest objective forecaster would not reduce that win chance the way that they just did. All right. And because I mean, you're saying we acknowledge what the reality is on the ground and what we think Donald Trump needs to do to catch up to that early vote in these key states and surpass her. And in the other areas where we have a more complete picture, it looks like he can do that. So now he's shooting back up. When it happens, like in some of these states like Pennsylvania, Benny, when that happens, that's when it'll go up to like 90 because it's like if and when it happens.
Rich, I'm sorry, man. I got to keep you for a second. Something insane just happened. New York Times is now predicting that Donald Trump's going to win the election.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not trying to duet my Joe Biden depends here, but that's crazy. Talk me through this.
Everybody seems to think, and I don't know what you're telling me. I gotta go in a second, but I want to answer this question. It's because everyone thinks at this point it is possible that the blue wall breaks apart and doesn't
Click
vote.
that like, share, subscribe, help your boy out. It's how the little channels get big. We start off with 2-3 people in our lives, and we grow from there. Give us a shot. But we just bouncing around looking at what they say about the election, man. Get your drink, get your smoke. Let's talk about it.
275, and that's how it's going to end up. And by the way, it may not end up that way at all. It may end up that they do all break together and he gets 312.
Whoa. Okay. All right, Rich. This is a wild night, bro.
I'll see you in a little bit, brother.
Hey, thank you. Pop on back, okay? Everybody follow Rich. Huge shout out. You gotta follow the man who's got the best data in the world. Thank you, Rich.
Anytime, brother. See you soon.
This isn't a typo, ladies and gentlemen. This is real. The New York Times has now President Trump favored to win the election. It's happening all over again. It's happening all over again. This is what happened last time.
Nah, don't listen to
the New York Times goes like and then snaps.
Nah, we not listening to no polls, bro.
Ooh, baby.
We waiting for the end of the night, bro. We not taking that, bro.
Back to the national map. The state of Arkansas, ladies and gentlemen. Donald Trump is victorious. Trump wins. Jerry, I love this. I love this normcore. Jerry's our meme maker. If you're new to the channel, we are the only
some of these
news
results
program.
Bring you these live events, live, raw, and unfiltered. Here we do have this as well. This is a live vantage point inside of Senator Rick Scott's election night watch party. We're expecting Scott very, very soon here to give his victory speech. We just heard from his Democratic opponent, Debbie Mucarsel-Powell. She conceded the race to Rick Scott there, and this is the breakdown we have in the results according to the Associated Press right now. You can see there the race was called about an hour ago.
Republicans are sweeping all night. They sweeping everything.
We also know Trump has been projected to be the winner of Florida as well, besting Harris. So Florida looking very, very solid for Republicans, as it has in the last cycle in 2020 as well. In the meantime here, we do have more and more experts, reporters, analysts joining us on the stream, including and especially Anna Giartelli at the Washington Examiner. She joins me, and Austin Westfall here live. Anna, good to see you here. We got a lot of live events to contend with, but let's focus our efforts on the Harris campaign right now. This is their election night watch party on the campus of Howard University. And Anna, I know you have some sources in the Harris campaign. How are they feeling tonight?
They're feeling very good. Certainly a lot of joy. I think that would fit with the campaign theme. But the Harris campaign, I was with them last night in Atlanta for concert parties. Lot of high expectations. They're really confident that this is going to be their time. That their candidate has stuck on message.
Ladies and gentlemen,
she has. Possibly
I'm gonna call it. There ain't no way. There ain't no way in Georgia. There ain't no way. This is going to be a Donald Trump pickup.
If you're new here, click the like, share, subscribe. Help the channel grow. Thank you. We just bouncing from different sets. I don't know. You know, we got two people in here, but we bouncing from different sets, man.
50.
Hit that like, share, subscribe. We just watching the election, getting high, having a drink together. That's all.
We are
legal
watching
drugs,
right now.
Legal drugs, marijuana.
We got Virginia, where Donald Trump is
nothing else over here.
Close, baby. Look at that. Donald Trump within 2 points in Virginia. What? Sorry, I had to catch my breath there. Donald Trump's within 2 points in Virginia. Look at this. 48 to 50. 40% in. This is not good for Kamala Harris. Holy smokes. Here we go. Donald Trump within 10 points in Vermont. I'm sorry. Vermont's already in Kamala Harris's column. But Donald Trump is within 20,000 votes in New Hampshire. 20,000 votes, man. That's just one little hamlet. That's just one little town. Come on. 25% in. These are not comfortable cushions for Kamala. These are not comfortable cushions. Okay? Here we go. Okay. Tightening up, thank God. Tightening up in Ohio. 34% in, Donald Trump's within 3 points. 34% in, I will be very happy when that flips. There's nobody saying that Ohio's in play. Okay, I'm not trying to... You will never get blackpilling or dooming on this program. But I do want Ohio to flip, and I'll be happy when it does. 34% in, Donald Trump's within a few points of Kamala. The gap is now some 70,000 votes. Ohio is not a swing state. As you can see here, the way that it works, Kansas, freaking Kansas, is right now going to Kamala Harris. That's not happening, right? Less than 3% in. So what happens? Repeat after me. The massive urban areas of crime and fraud, mail-in voting, psychotic divorcee, suburban wine moms, come pouring in first. The early vote that tends to favor Democrats come pouring in first. That gets schlomped into a massive pile. And so when they open up the data centers, some states give you data all throughout the day. Florida does that. So that's why the Florida results are of no surprise to us. But states like Kansas, of course, like schlomp in, Kansas City, right? You bring in the suburbs of like a large metropolitan area. You start the day off blue. You end the day dark red. But man, in Georgia, Donald Trump has taken the lead and then maintained the lead, 52% in, and Donald Trump is just crushing in the state of Georgia. Whoo, doggy. Things are looking spicy. I'm just interested. How's Trump doing in Illinois? Yo, man, that's respectable. Look at that. How's Trump doing in Illinois? Donald Trump, 41% in Illinois. Let's go. Let's go. This is a exciting moment. It's an exciting moment. Let's check in on Pennsylvania. You got 10% in. Kamala Harris with a commanding lead in Pennsylvania. Once again, 10% in. Let's click in on the state. So you have these massive areas. You have these massive areas around Philadelphia that's being counted here, right? So you have all, what did we say? These are all red counties. These are blue counties, okay? And these areas around Philadelphia, right here, are being tabulated right now. And that's what you're seeing, okay? So we'll zoom in and show you. These areas around Pittsburgh, these are blue counties. These are being tabulated. These are counties that go 70-20 for Donald Trump. I'm sorry, 70-20 for Kamala Harris. All the counties that go 70-20 for Donald Trump are all in here. And it takes a second.
Welcome to the channel. As you can see, we just following the election. We bouncing around. We sitting here. We smoking us some weed. We, having a little drinkity drink. That's about it. Trying to see what's going on.
Exciting.
Trying to see who win this election.
Okay, here we go. Got to catch up. Got to catch up with my team here. Got to catch up with my production chat. Play beside loaded. Pennsylvania to announce 100,000 votes. This is interesting. What does that mean? What does this mean? Okay, that's right. This makes a lot. Okay, that makes a lot of sense. Okay, so this is exactly what we're talking about. It's worth explaining how it happens. Philadelphia is about to post election result for 100,000 mail-in ballots, half of all total mail-in ballots, which means we will get the Pennsylvania victory tonight. This is awesome. Come on. This is great. I mean, this is good. I'm telling you, the thing I don't like is when this stuff drags out weeks and weeks and weeks, and then every single ballot becomes a massive lawsuit, gives them a chance to try and take it to the Supreme Court. North Carolina's flipping Trump. Yes, baby. Yes, baby. Come on. Come on. We're just going to stay on the map, baby. We are in the zone. We are in game time.
Game time, baby.
We're going to stay on. We're going to stay locked in. 52%. North Carolina has flipped with 21% in. Dude,
See what my
I'm
boy
telling you.
Tucker talking about.
I'm telling you,
One
the
of the
night
reasons
gets
why
worse.
so many people have
The
come
more
on board is
the
'cause the last 4 years have just been so bad. It's just been so egregious. I mean, Biden
Tucker,
and the
man, you
Democrats
on the
came into
bullshit?
office promising a return to normalcy. This is what they called it. What it
Tucker, I love you, but I don't love what you're doing right now. You my guy, Tuck. But what you doing right now, Tuck, ain't.
These huge counties, Raleigh, right here, Raleigh, all right, Charlotte, they've reported. That's your blue wall. That's your blue wall. They've reported. It's all done. They're not 100% in. You can see here. They're 6% in, 6% in. But those votes are being tabulated faster than the rural counties. Ladies and gentlemen, Donald Trump has flipped North Carolina. What do we got?
Good.
Whoa, boys. Here we go. Pop it up. Prop it up, Killer Klein. All-time high. These are the betting odds. Okay? These are the betting odds. What's the important thing about the betting odds? Algorithmically, when you correlate the betting markets to the presidential election victor, you find that there is a higher incidence of betting markets with people putting money on the candidates, a higher incidence of scientific and algorithmic predictions of election results. Gamblers, some of them, are very smart people and are pretty cunning with their money. Gamblers are saying, baby, Trump in the bag. I can start talking like this because the polls are generally closed across the country. So what do they have here on Polymarket? What should surprise us? Well, nothing really. It looks like Polymarket is keeping Wisconsin in like a pure 50-50.
If you're new here, man, click that like, share, subscribe. You know, one of my first few lives, I don't do lives. Click that like, share, subscribe. You know, I'm just bouncing around, looking at different polls, looking at different channels, just watching the election, man. It's how small channels blow up. People give them a chance. Hit that like, hit that subscribe.
The Donald Trump absolute skyrocket. If Donald Trump was a stock, he'd be freaking Bitcoin or Nvidia right now. Look at him go. You just zoom in on the line graph there. There you go. So this is what's yeah. Forgive us here as we correct, as Killer Klein.
We do see Harris with a 14% advantage in Michigan, Pennsylvania. Only 12% of the votes have been tallied so far. And right now, Harris has a sizable lead. Looks like she's got a 40-point lead right now. That very well could be one of those blue mirage situations that we were just discussing very early on in the tabulation cycle. North Carolina, let's go to the Tar Heel state here. Let's see what they're working with. They have a fifth of the votes in, 20% of the votes in North Carolina. And Trump right now has about an 8-point lead over Harris with a fifth of the votes tallied. Finally, let's hit Georgia. And it looks like we have Trump up with an 11-point advantage. That's with over half of the votes tallied. So Trump with an 11-point lead in a battleground state. We don't know exactly which ballots were being tabulated in that. We, again, don't know if this is a red mirage, if you will. We will be waiting to see more results as they come in. There you see on your screen right there, Georgia, 52% of this state has been called. Georgia was so important. It actually had a record number of early voters. It was so robust that a top official told the Associated Press that the big day could look like a ghost town at the polls. Biden became the first Democrat to take that state since Bill Clinton in 1992. It'll be interesting to see how this plays out, guys.
And Anna, of course, you've spent so much time in Georgia this cycle. Let's talk about it. You saw the vote spread there between Trump and Harris. A little over half of estimated votes counted there in the Peach State. I want to focus our efforts on Harris, too, because we've been showing a lot of the Trump election night watch party. This is the Harris night watch party right now. It looks to be quite raucous there. A lot of performances at the moment on the campus of Howard University.
And that's how Kamala Harris thinks she gonna get y'all vote by. Oh, I'm gonna bring out a bunch of celebrities and people gonna vote for me. I'm gonna get Gorilla. Whatever her name is, Glorilla. I'm gonna get Beyonce. I'm gonna get this person. No one cares about that, man. What they gonna do for you when you in charge of everything and we at war?
We're going to vote for Trump, even though, you know, we may be Democrats, we may be black. That's the way that we're going to vote this cycle. And people were concerned about the economy. I mean, we've seen it over and over again in the polls being conducted since the caucuses and primaries.
See,
it's the number one issue, followed by
Benny. This my guy over here. I like him over here, man. Let me get back.
What now? Now they're exit polls, okay? So even stuff like this that gives me all the happy feels. Even stuff like this, it's worth noting. They're just exit polls, okay? So that means the people that they can grab as they're leaving the polling location.
Right.
You could call it scientific, really, if you want to like bend the term scientific, but it is what it is, okay? It's exit polling. This Latino shift is insane. This is wild. This shift is insane. This same demographic, which is increased in number. Okay, so take a step back. Take a step back.
If you're watching, click that like, share, subscribe. You know, we just bouncing around from different channels, watching the election. I'm over here smoking, having a drink, and that's just what I'm doing. I don't normally drink, but I want some good things to happen, so I'm having a drink. And like I said, I always say, a like is free. You know, it's just gonna help the channel grow and get bigger, and then I can make more money and invest in the channel and make it bigger and better. That's how your favorite channel got to where it was at. People gave it a shot.
President Trump gained 20 points with Latinos. It's over. Sorry, I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do an early call. But I'm saying it's over. If this plays out, then it's over. If this plays out, then they're cooked.
These dudes is my boys too, man.
Ladies and gentlemen,
let's
Trump
see what they
pulling ahead.
You almost never see anyone run for president,
Donald
lose,
Trump up
and become enhanced.
They just happen.
It's like everybody who runs, Jeb Bush, who was widely regarded as a really smart guy until he ran for president, we realized he's actually kind of stupid. Everybody who runs and loses, Ron DeSantis, poor Ron DeSantis, I'm not attacking him, but he was diminished. You were enhanced. I'm not quite sure how you did that, but it was amazing.
I just had you, Cheddar. Where you at?
Oh, North Carolina flips red. Let's go. 24%. Whoa. Whoa. Okay. Bros, you know what they say? It's game time. If President Trump wins Georgia, North Carolina, and Pennsylvania, it's over. That's what's at stake right now. Then it's over. Then there is no path for Camilla, for Queen Communist Camilla, and we never have to hear that effing cackle again. So here we go, ladies and gentlemen.
You know, not only how to
63% in Georgia
in his state, but this population
the
that's
race
technically illegal in
tightening.
the country, and what that looks like.
Ladies
so
and
I
gentlemen,
think he's got an interesting perspective.
The race tightening. Donald Trump was up by 10 points last time we checked in. This must be 71.
Ain't nothing going on over here. I'm looking for it.
Ladies and gentlemen, here we go. Georgia tightening a little bit. I think there's nothing to be. I think there's nothing to be fearful of there. And we roll on, baby. And we roll on. Let's check in on Pennsylvania. Now, Virginia has been called for Queen Camilla. Now, that's crazy. Look at this. I don't agree with this. Is this like the Brett Baer Arizona call? Bro, Donald Trump is a point away from Kamala Harris, and they only have 46% in. They must have some type of methodology that I don't understand here, because why would you call a state that only has like a percentage point? Donald Trump's down by 20,000 votes. There's only a single percentage point separation there.
Oh, the fixes.
I'm telling you, they shouldn't have called this. Look at Virginia. Freaking red state, boys. Look at this. Don't know what this little blue dot is.
This is a map that is very difficult for Democrats to hold on to their Senate races. They're on defense in a lot of these states.
Yeah, and that's the reason why you gotta bounce around, because different places say different shit. Different stations be linked. Like one station had it at 111 to 72. They got it at 105 to 130. You gotta bounce around.
Right? They would have loved to have had that in the bag, these 2-seat pickups earlier in the night, Savannah. But we'll wait and see how this one goes.
Okay, we are just coming up the top of the hour. We're going to have some major battleground poll closings coming up. And we
Michigan and Wisconsin, Arizona, all coming up. So this is the drama beginning to clearly build right now. The votes are being counted. And again, we'll get those closings here very shortly. Let's check back in with the presidential race in the road to 270. All right, it is 8:51 in the East, and here is where we stand right now on the road to 270. And it has been a night of big surprises so far, with more to come. We're now just minutes away from additional closings.
Yeah, we are, and we see that map starting to fill out, so we will watch for those next poll closings. It's in all corners of the country now, almost at 9 o'clock in the East Coast, and they're some of the biggest states to close yet.
At the top of the hour, a major round of poll closings with the most battleground states of the entire night.
15 states and 163 electoral college votes up for grabs, including 3 critical swing states.
Will Vice President Kamala Harris hold on to the blue wall that cuts through Wisconsin?
Good evening, Wisconsin!
And Michigan?
Michigan, we are not going back!
Or will former President Trump break through like he did in 2016?
We're going to win Wisconsin.
Plus, the first Western battleground, Arizona, moments away from closing.
A very big hello, Arizona. We love you, Arizona.
Arizona, we need to fight this battle on every front.
We are standing by for our first vote count in.
Get back over here to my boy, man.
Let's go ahead and pop it up. Oh no, I'm gonna get all blacklisted here. I'm not paying the New York Times a single freaking penny. Don't worry, Killer Klein's got it. I won't do it. I'm sorry. I won't do it, New York Times. Here we go. Here we go. So New York Times, this is a New York Times map. I like the Decision Desk map better. But this is the New York Times map. They have Donald Trump up right now in Virginia. So we will see, the AP also has Trump up in Virginia. Whoa. So the AP and the New York Times are showing Donald Trump leading in Virginia. Oh man, this is crazy. This is crazy, and it just keeps getting better. Look at this. It just keeps getting 74%. Donald Trump raging right now, like a meme stock.
Yeah, but Benny, let's not fall for that trap, Benny, man. They get us pumped up and thinking our boy gonna win, and then he lose, Benny. We can't fall for that trap.
That Virginia, and this is the Secretary of State's website right here in Virginia for the November 2024 November General, reminding me that not only has Virginia defeated liberal election riggers And what do I mean by that? Election fraudsters. What do I mean by that? Virginia had to go to the Supreme Court.
Let's go to Arizona. The Mountain West polls closed. Gotti Schwartz, they're outside a polling place. Have you seen a lot of crowds?
Yeah, polls close in about 6 minutes here. This is the end of the line, and this is about a 60 to 70 minute wait here. So you got the people that are at the end of the line right now, probably about 300 to 400 people in front of them. You're noticing a lot of MAGA hats here talking about the gender divide. Gender divide is very much in play here at Arizona State University, and there's been so much talk about low propensity voters. One of the things that we've been noticing here and talking to students about is the involvement of fraternities. Normally, fraternities, they may not be organizing and may not be turning out to vote as much as you'd expect, but here at the ASU campus, it does seem like the fraternities have been involved in turning out the vote, and those that we've been talking to say that they are turning out for former President Donald Trump. We've also talked to a lot of other students that have been coming out for policy issues. There are several props. The issue of abortion is extremely important in turning out the vote. Immigration is also important, but I gotta say, just eavesdropping what people have been talking about in line, it's been surprising how often the topic of the Joe Rogan podcast keeps coming up. We've talked to several students now who say that they listened to that Joe Rogan podcast with the former president, and that was the deciding factor for them. And they've also said that if the Kamala Harris, the vice president of the United States, would have appeared on that podcast, they may have had their vote skewed. It's really interesting because, you know, some people are talking about policy. Others are talking more about kind of like vibes. Well, I like the vibe of Trump, or I like the vibe of Kamala Harris, but it's not so policy specific. But that's just some of what we've seen. We're almost at the end of the line. We just wrap around this corner. But again, right now we're in Maricopa County. This is a county with 2 point something million voters. ASU has 74,000 students here, most of them voting age. So what we see here at Arizona is going to be very important in this election. Back to you guys.
All right, Gotti, thank you so much. Abortion on the ballot in Arizona, also Florida. Lester, I know you got a key call here.
Yeah, we do have a call here in the state of Florida that abortion, that would have restored the constitutional right to an abortion there, but it had a 60% threshold. It will not clear it. So amendment for right to abortion will go down in defeat. 86% of the vote in there. Let's
This is super interesting. Let us drop in here to say this. So it was yes to protect in Florida, but you were seeing it needed a 60% threshold. As you said, Lester, this would be the first ballot initiative that we've seen anywhere in the country since the overturning of Roe versus Wade that has failed. However, the other ballot initiatives were not this high of a threshold here. And I see you want to jump in.
No, it's just the same number.
Get back to my boy bench.
Okay. It's a real salt shaker. It would actually work if you put salt in it. I want to fill my salt cup up tonight. I will fill my salt tonight. That salt will come flowing from MSNBC, and it will overflow, and I'll catch it in this. And so I want to make sure that we are able to pop on over there as the panic rains down. Ashley, please make sure that you are monitoring MSNBC.
Over Joyce Craig. Looks like there's still a lot of ballots to be counted in that competitive gubernatorial race. We'll keep you posted. I think we have some props to get to.
Yeah, that's right. So we have now a resolution to the North Carolina gubernatorial contest. It got so much attention with those bombshell reports about some of Mark Robinson's alleged online behavior. This is the election night watch party for Robinson's supporters here, Austin. So if we see any campaign staffers or Robinson himself take to the podium there, we'll bring this live as well. So that's a live vantage point we have coming to us from North Carolina. We also have a live vantage point coming to us from New Jersey. We're expecting Senator-elect Andy Kim, the Democrat, to address his crowd of supporters here. To your point, Austin, we got to get in...
An exciting moment, ladies and gentlemen. Exciting moment for our country. Libs are already melting down. Here we go. This is one of these engagement farming libs that exists online. If Trump wins, I'll shave my head and I'll become the bald lib. Think about how exciting that would be. Think about how exciting it is. It'll be to watch all the libs shave their heads and cry in unison. Don't you want that? I mean, I know you do. I know you do. Ladies and gentlemen, here we go. Here we go. The New York Times expects Trump to win Texas by 10 points.
So they could put that in the tabulizer. So that was extended to 10 o'clock. Of course, the RNC does have poll watchers and attorneys on the ground to oversee that. There is no funny business.
Exactly. And so this is video from earlier today. Bucks County, a great American people in line looking to vote on the day of the election. Many millions of Americans voted early, but you know, right there you saw people waiting in line. I believe we do have some sound, some interviews from Bucks County. Nikki Stanzione was out there a little bit earlier. We'll be going to her live here shortly, and I believe we do have that sound if we want to go to that right now. All right, we'll be getting that in just a second. The director is queuing that up. But, you know, the people there, they want to talk about President Trump a lot of the times. I mean, we saw all of the rallies that happened in Pennsylvania just recently, Pittsburgh, Reading, the Keystone State, as they say, or the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. A lot of supporters there for the red, white, and blue, but mainly red when it comes to President Trump.
Some of the most exciting rallies were in Western PA, even Philadelphia, PA, when I was with the nifty Nikki Stanzione in the heat of the summer, 97 degrees that day, humidity through the roof. But President Trump visiting Temple University in late June to really make that play for the Commonwealth and a very popular state for him. Now we're seeing some disparity in the numbers right now. It looks like with 16% of the votes counted, Kamala Harris way up, Bob Casey way up. It's looking like that's in the urban centers. So we need to wait some time and see the rest of the state.
All right, that's we're hearing that we'll be going to Nikki Stanzione in a little bit. We'll also be looking at some of the interviews there in Bucks County in a little bit as well.
Here we go.
So
Texas has been called.
We have
Texas has been called. We do a Trump victory dance for every state. Ladies and gentlemen, Trump wins Texas. Yeehaw, ride 'em, cowboy.
Trump wins Texas.
That one had very much a club vibe to it. Okay, the look and the feel was very, very club vibe. Baby, who do we got? Kansas. Kansas only 7% in. They're saying nope. Kansas going to Trump. I think no massive shock there, but Kansas holding it down strong, baby. Let's go.
Yeah, we might be calling Trump president by the end of the night.
Come on, baby. Nebraska's been called. It has 0% in, 0 reporting. They're like, Nebraska's it. Okay? Now, it's very important. Nebraska has one quirky little electoral vote that may go. It's called the Nebraska 3 or Nebraska 2. Which one is it? Nebraska 3 or Nebraska 2? It's this strange electoral vote that may go to Kamala Harris. It'd be awesome to not give it to Kamala, okay? It'd be great to not give it to her.
Right. You don't want her to
They split up their electoral votes, right? Maine does the same thing. And so Republican or Democrat could peel off a single electoral vote. It'd be great if Nebraska did not do that. I'm zooming in on Nebraska right now. You can see here, we have no hard data out of Nebraska. But this is the electoral vote right in there. That's where it is, okay? So that's a danger zone. This is where the universities are, right? Metropolitan area here in Nebraska. So that's where we want to look in Nebraska. It'd be great to deprive Kamala Harris of that vote. There's many who speculate that Kamala Harris could not win without that vote. There are many scenarios where if we rip that vote away from Kamala Harris, she doesn't win. I think it's Nebraska 3rd. I'm pretty sure it's the Nebraska 3rd Congressional District. Is it? Okay. Nebraska 3rd Congressional District.
And a CBS News estimate right at that margin of 53 to 52. So, again, that's what's outstanding vote she would need. That's our estimate of what she's able to get based on what is out there and our estimates of the vote and the exit polls. So, again, very close. That's why both North Carolina and Georgia moving toward photo finish for both.
What about Pennsylvania?
Pennsylvania is a little bit farther behind, Nora. We have 16% of the vote in. We don't have a lot of the map colored yet because of that 16%. So we're still waiting for more data from the various counties to have a stronger coloration and presentation for you. And we can't, because of that, we can't give you an outstanding vote or a needs analysis quite yet with only 16% in.
And that's why we see people saying as some of the polling places in Pennsylvania have remained open, you see supporters saying stay in line, carry out that vote. Thank you.
And the estimates and the way we put this together are really data dependent. So we need a substantial amount of numbers coming in to match with the exit poll data before we can even begin to do the estimates that I just showed you for North Carolina and Georgia. That's why we're not able to do that in Pennsylvania yet.
Pack your patience. All right. Thank you, Major Garrett. Want to turn to 60 Minutes correspondent Cecilia Vega. I know you have some new reporting.
Yeah, Nora, we are just hearing from the Republican Secretary of State in Pennsylvania, Al Schmidt, whom we interviewed for a story for 60 Minutes a couple of weeks ago. He just held a news conference in Philly. His role is exceptionally important there because he's overseeing the race in this complicated state. And what he says is, here's the headline: we will not have in-person turnout numbers tonight in total. So we will not be expecting to hear a final count from Pennsylvania. He says they're very, the numbers, they're seeing very high turnout numbers in the state for an election year. And here is his plea to voters right now, at the American public waiting for these results to come in. He's asking everyone to be patient. Counting millions of votes accurately takes time, and we want to take the time to get it right. They're looking right now, he says, at some 2 million mail-in ballots. That's a headline because they had in 2020 2.5 million mail-in ballots. Schmidt says that, though, should not be interpreted as a reflection in enthusiasm. We were expecting, after our conversation with him last month, to see perhaps a little bit of a quicker turn in counting in Pennsylvania because of how some things have changed there. We expect to see fewer mail-in ballots than we did in 2020, of course, because that was the height of COVID, and that's how people were voting. We've also seen some technology advancements in the state where machines are faster and they're opening up these envelopes there. But counting in Pennsylvania is complicated. They did not, by law, start counting ballots until 7 a.m. today. They're one of the few swing states, battleground states, where they have this no pre-canvassing law in place. So we always have a delay in Pennsylvania. In fact, Al Schmidt even told me he hates the word delay because it's not actually just a delay. It's just how they count Pennsylvania. Buckle up, it takes time. So he's saying that doesn't mean anything is wrong.
That's a really good point. I like the way you make that, yes.
But I also think it's interesting, Mr. Schmidt's very colorful language the other day when he was saying anybody who was thinking about interfering in this election, he was basically saying bring it on because we have jail cells waiting just for you. Yeah. He's very sure that they are very safe in anybody who is voting in Pennsylvania.
You don't want to go up against anybody in Philly talking like that either.
No, you don't.
Ed, I know you're digging into what's happening in Pennsylvania as well.
The Harris campaign remains incredibly confident, in part because what transpired just up the street a few days ago seems to be paying off for the Harris campaign, not the Trump campaign, the Madison Square Garden event.
Wisconsin's polls have closed, so we're going to start seeing out of Wisconsin. Nevada, this could get dicey, but if Donald Trump wins Georgia and North Carolina here on our map, and you can see here, we're hanging on. We're hanging on. Rich Bear says it's going to be a nail biter. Here we go. Then, ladies and gentlemen, that's the ball game. Georgia, North Carolina, and then Donald Trump then needs one more pickup. Could be Pennsylvania. Could be Arizona. That'll push Trump over the 270. Ladies and gentlemen, it's going to be exciting. This is going to be an exciting hour. It's going to be wild ride for it too. So look at how red that map just got. Look at that. Look at how red the map just got, and look at where the predictions are. President Trump at 71%. You're seeing the numbers change because I'm toggling here. Okay, my apologies. I don't mean to do that. 71% right here in the betting markets. Kamala at a measly 28. Kamala Harris.
Hey man, I wouldn't vote for Carmella. Didn't vote for Carmella, but I would take that bet because she's 28%. So the odds must be crazy. Just imagine if you put a few bucks on Kamala. The odds would be crazy. If she won, $1,000 might make you a millionaire, because the odds is that the betting is 70% that Trump gonna win. So you put a few hundred on Kamala and she win, that shit would change your life.
Time in Michigan, these are really respectable numbers for Donald Trump in Michigan. Donald Trump's within 7 points of Queen Camilla here in Michigan. An awesome moment. Let's check in on Pennsylvania. 17%. You may think that this looks dire and horrifying for Donald Trump. Not so. Not when you understand the way that they count votes. Here in Pennsylvania. Ladies and gentlemen, excuse me. Wow. This is pretty remarkable. Let's go ahead and check in on our friends at the New York Times, who have now moved Pennsylvania into Trump's favor. Oh, baby. Ooh. Oh, man. This is not going to be pretty. Ladies and gentlemen, we have our first meltdown of the night. MSNBC, I love these. Ashley, send these in. I need the salt. I need the salt to fill up my cup, please. I need the salt. The salt must flow. Look at your boy Donnie. This is Donald Trump Jr. watching this with us. Here he is. Donald Trump's looking at you right here in this photo saying, "Hello, Anon. How do you do? Would you like a salty French fry and share with me this sweet fall air? Crisp and light. Everything is new in the fall. And ladies and gentlemen, we are going to have a brand new country tomorrow. It's going to be exciting. Wisconsin is in. Wisconsin red. It's less than 1% in. So don't get too excited. But this is very interesting. Wisconsin and Michigan are reporting. Let's freaking go, boys. Let's go. Wisconsin and Michigan are reporting. Georgia is at 70%. Donald Trump with a commanding 200,000 vote lead in Georgia. This is good. It's tight. We always knew it was going to be tight, but it's very, very good, ladies and gentlemen. Very good. MSNBC is starting to throw absolute conniption fits and absolute panic meltdowns. The Latino men breaking for Trump. Telling you what, in all these states, as you look at this giant red wall being created, will it be Latino men that win it for Trump? Oh, boys, this is gonna be fun to watch. Here we go, MSNBC with the meltdown. The salt is beginning to flow. Let's go.
Maria Teresa, we have some broad national polling exit polling about Harris's strength among Latino men, and they seem to be breaking for Donald Trump, which is a very big difference from 2020 when they broke for Joe Biden by, I believe, 23 points. They may be breaking for Trump by as many as 10 points. Again, this is early, but can you talk to me about your thoughts on those numbers and what that might portend for a state like Pennsylvania, where there's a huge Latino population?
Yeah, it's interesting because a lot of these exit polls, it really depends on where you're standing, what precinct you're in. So is the volume of the Latino voter representative of that person? We don't know.
I don't know. We don't know.
There's an indication there that's one county, but Democrats in counties like this. There's a big academic institution. There's a pretty good concentration of students, of college degrees, a lot of these ingredients for Democratic success. They want to be driving up the numbers in those places. Another place like that is Orange County. University of North Carolina, Chapel Hill is here. This is basically on par for Democrats, even a touch above what they did in 2020. That's what they want to see. One other place I could just flag here. This is Carrabas County.
County, this, of all the counties, all the 100 in North Carolina, this is the one that swung the most to Democrats in the last election. Again, right outside Charlotte. It's growing. It's diversifying. It's pretty quickly diversifying. So again, you can see Democrats want to make further progress. Trump won this thing by almost 20 in 2016. And again, look at that. It came down to single digits in 2020. This is another test tonight. This is a place where Democrats want to really keep that momentum going early, but that's when we're going to keep an eye on there. But again, you can see those trends. Trump in the big suburban test outside Charlotte, I'd say he probably passes that test in Union County. And the Democrats so far in these rural counties with large black populations, not getting what they hoped for there. Still to come, though. We want to see how Wake finishes. We want to see Mecklenburg, the Triad. You got Greensboro. Again, we don't have a ton here. In Greensboro, Forsyth County, where Winston-Salem is. So still a bit more to come there. And then Georgia, look, 70% in now. Trump continuing with an advantage here. It's about 243,000 votes. And we are getting a lot more clarity in the metro Atlanta area. A couple of things. We talked about this. Democrats wanting to improve margins here. That's what they need to do. Cobb County is a place, where this was a Republican stronghold not long ago, where Democrats are running up the score lately. You see what happened in 2020. Biden won here by 14 points. Currently, 78% of the vote is in. Harris, this is the early vote likely. Harris is winning here by 16. The concern for Democrats is the remaining vote, we suspect, is that election day vote, a little bit more Republican friendly. 16 would be a very good margin for Democrats in Cobb, but does that come down? If it falls below that 2020 level at all, that's very alarming for Democrats. Fulton County, again, we've got the early vote in here, and now some of the same day as well. Look at that. It looks exactly like it did in 2020. Democrats want to grow that a little more. Again, concern for them. It's a big blue county, but if what's still to come in Fulton is a little less blue, and that number slips below 2020, that's a trouble sign for Democrats. We flagged Fayette County early in the night. Would this one flip? If the blob, I call it the blue blob there, was going to expand, this is the place. It's not quite all in, but almost all in right now. You see Trump with a 2.5-point lead. Now, that is progress for Democrats from 2020. This was a 7-point race in 2020, so it's progress for Democrats. Will it be enough progress? Again, those other big, giant suburban counties there are going to tell a lot of that story. We finally have a little bit in Gwinnett County. I just want to linger on this one for a minute because it's enormous. This county has over 1 million people. It has transformed demographically in the last generation. This used to be a staunchly Republican, heavily white county. It's now one of the most diverse in the country. Democrats, you can see Biden won here by 18 points in 2020. And again, the Democratic margin here, it's just been, look at this. In 2016, it was a single-digit race. It became almost 20 in 2020. Democrats want this over 20 tonight. Let's see. It's early there, but that's a key one just because of the size and because of the trajectory. So again, and we can also just take a look. I said these sort of exurban, fringe Atlanta metro counties that are red. The question here is, do they become less red? The biggest of them is Cherokee County, and we got almost all of Cherokee County now. This is where Canton, Georgia is, one of the wealthiest counties in the state of Georgia here. Take a look. This is what happened in 2020. Donald Trump won here by 39.2 points. Tonight, he's winning it. You could see almost the same. It's about 0.3 of a point off. The Trump campaign, let's see here. They don't want big slippage. There's not big slippage. I think they would have liked to claw back a little bit more here, but they're not losing ground. And there are scenarios where that's enough for them in Georgia. You can look next door. Is Forsyth County. Now, this is another. This is very wealthy. This is a biggie you can see in terms of votes. This is a place where Trump lost substantial ground in 2020. Now, bulk of the vote is in. Same day still to come, so room for Trump growth here. He's already overperforming a point from where he finished in 2020. That's an encouraging one for Republicans. You can just kind of complete this loop quickly. I'll just show you some of them here. Again, Hall County is one, almost all in. Trump had slippage here in 2020. You see, he's improved by about 1.5 points here. Not major, but this was a state that was decided by a fraction of a point in 2020, so any shift is significant. Barrow County, almost all in. Again, Trump had slippage here here in 2020. A little bit more slippage here tonight for Trump. You can see Harris running 1.5 points better than Biden did. Trump basically level with 2020. And you can take a look down here at Walton County. Again, this is the early vote in Walton County. Trump had slippage here in 2020. 49 points, believe it or not, was slippage for the Republican. Tonight, 46. This is the early vote. Again, same day. Does it get back to 49? Does it get back to 50? That's what Trump wants with the remaining vote there. I think we've got just about all of Douglas County in right now. And again, Douglas County, it's one of these demographically, it's fast growing, it's transforming politically, it's diversifying. And you can see here, Democrats, it looks like in Douglas, have achieved what they want to do here. Biden won this thing by 25 points in 2020, just about all in. Now Harris has it north of 30 points. That is something Democrats want to see there. So again, we zoom out statewide. It's a 6-point lead right now. We could also check in if you want. We could just take a look. We've got them marked off on here. I'll show you. This is, we were talking about this in North Carolina, same in Georgia. There's a lot of rural counties with large African-American populations, and the question for Democrats is, can they improve? They'd like to improve turnout-wise, vote performance-wise, obviously, relative to last time. So again, I think we showed you earlier, Baldwin's just about all in. This is a change. This was a blue county.
This call is wrong. This should not be in Kamala Harris's category. We're gonna fight. We're gonna fight everyone on that. Fight anyone on that. I'll fight anyone on that. 69% in. Donald Trump has a 250,000 vote advantage in Georgia. It is looking like Georgia is a lock. Okay? A lock. Donald Trump. I don't think we've had any new calls here looking at the map. Donald Trump pulling away in North Carolina. North Carolina's been blue. It just recently flipped red. And now Donald Trump has a 3-point advantage. Donald Trump has a 3-point advantage in North Carolina. 52% reporting. That is close, baby. That is close. Rich Barris came on and said it is razor close. All right. Let's go ahead and check in on Pennsylvania. Whoa, Donald Trump way up. Not winning Pennsylvania just yet. But Donald Trump has come roaring back. Donald Trump was down by some 500,000 votes in Pennsylvania.
Or a very cautious move. Republicans are upset about it. The RNC chairs, Michael Whatley and Laura Trump, put out a statement calling this an unacceptable example of incompetence. Wisconsin officials are here to try to get some questions answered. Brett, Martha?
It's a long night in Milwaukee. Thank you, Mike. So the Fox News decision desk can now project that Vice President Harris will win Delaware, the home state of President Biden. And there is the look at the race to 270. That makes it Trump 195, Harris 113 at this hour. And we have another call to make as well.
In a key governor's race, Fox News can now project that Republican Kelly Ayotte will become the next governor of New Hampshire. She defeats Democrat Joyce Gregg. And that was a close race for a while, but Kelly Ayotte will win there. Here are a couple of other results we're getting as our Democracy 24 coverage continues. It'll be on the screen all night long.
Look about what was happening in Pennsylvania this morning. Pennsylvania is terrifying to Democrats because urban areas are just not showing up in the numbers that they needed to win. Black men are not showing up in the numbers they needed to win. And there are a stunning number of rural voters that showed up with a giant FU to Kamala Harris, Joe Biden, and the regime that has made the gas for their F-150s impossible to afford, or who are just, frankly, odious to the Amish who live in Pennsylvania in huge numbers. The worldview is poison, and Pennsylvania is tightening. Look at that, right before our very eyes. You can see it happening right before our very eyes. Whoa, ladies and gentlemen. Very, very exciting. Extremely exciting. A massive, massive call right now
Holy smokes. Ladies and gentlemen, here we go. NBC News is showing favorable news for Trump in Arizona. In Arizona, Trump is leading with independent voters by 4%. In Wisconsin, Trump has doubled his black support. Trump has 20% of the black vote in Wisconsin. It will be impossible for them to win in Wisconsin if those numbers remain. In 2020, Trump won only 8% of the black vote in Wisconsin. Ladies and gentlemen, Pennsylvania and Arizona, the tide is turning. Check back on our map. We're going to live on our map, okay? We're going to live on our map. Here we go.
Live on the map.
Trump at 69%. There it is. President Trump at 69%. Here we go. Back to the map. They called it. They called North Carolina. They've called North Carolina. Producers, let's go. Find me someone else who's called North Carolina. Find me someone else. They called North Carolina for Donald Trump. Decision Desk just called North Carolina for Donald Trump. This is a massive pickup. This was one of the harder swing states to win for Donald Trump. A massive pickup, much harder than like a Georgia or Arizona. They just called it for Trump. Look at that. Find me someone else. Find me something else. Find me the New York Times. I want the New York Times. I want the AP. I want Fox News. I want somebody else calling North Carolina for Trump. This is massive. Massive. I don't care. Ladies and gentlemen, Decision Desk predicts
state sort of
that Donald
leads to
Trump
a domino
will win
effect, if you
North
will.
Carolina.
And that's one of the reasons why we were watching Ohio, because if he were not to win a state like Ohio, which he won the last two presidential elections, his whole map changes. Guys, back to you.
Well, right now, so far tonight, we haven't had any big shockers. But let's talk about Pennsylvania. There's a reason that the campaigns spent more money there, spent more time there. It may well, at the end of this night, or perhaps it will be Saturday morning, like in 2020, it will all come down to Pennsylvania.
It very well could come down to Pennsylvania. 19 electoral votes. It is the biggest battleground prize out there. And part of why we're watching states like Ohio so closely, like North Carolina as well, particularly in the suburbs, is to test how those counties, in those collar counties in Pennsylvania might go. Remember, President Biden won Pennsylvania not because he won the Philadelphia County area, but because he was able to really drive up the vote among white working class voters in those collar counties. One more point just to mention as we watch all of these returns come in. When President Biden was at the top of the ticket, a state like North Carolina was out of reach for Democrats.
Declared that Donald Trump is the winner in North Carolina. Donald Trump breaking away with 120,000 vote margin. 54% in. Fox News has called North Carolina, baby! Let's go! Let's go. Boom, dance it up.
That ain't the song, man. That ain't the song. That's why you made me click on. That ain't the song, bro.
Ohio, Trump, baby. Ohio has gone to President Trump. Ohio has been called by Decision Desk for President Trump. Boom, boom, boom. Here we go.
Pete, we are the mothership calling Pete Hegseth at the Honky Tonk in Nashville. Can you hear us?
Hey guys, yes I can hear you. I'm sorry, Brett and Martha. We're at Kid Rock's Honky Tonk in Nashville. I can't hear a thing. I can't hear myself think. And the crowd here is psyched because you're now on the TVs here in the bar as well. I'm here with Clay Travis, Morgan Ortegas, Tommy Lahren. We just had Kid Rock himself. So while you're at home watching the returns on Fox.
If you're new here, click that like, share, subscribe, hit the bell, man. Help me out.
On your second screen and have a party with us. Because I'll tell you, the vibes here on the ground, we're talking to voters today too, this feels a lot like the 2016 vibes as you see the results coming in. You can tell the crowd here, pretty psyched. They love watching you guys and what you're doing. If this sentiment isn't reflective of what's happening in this election, could be a very good night for Donald Trump. I can't hear you, but I love you.
All right, Pete, thank you so much.
Pete,
Sounds like they're having a pretty good time there.
They are. We're back with our panel. Britt Hume, Dana Perino, Harold Fort Jr., Kayleigh McEnany, Sean Hannity, and Trey Gowdy. And Bill Hemmer just went behind the billboard, and I kind of was going to call him out there.
Like the Wizard of Oz.
So they're saying that Harris people are looking at Erie County, Pennsylvania.
Yeah, I was looking at it too. One thing to keep in mind here as we look at this data here is you got to remember how they count the votes, right? You know, they start processing at 7 a.m. this morning. All that's mail-in stuff too. And that's the vote that's put out first. And so I want to do something funky and fancy here, guys, so just bear with me.
The county that's trying to put Trump in prison, that gave Trump a mugshot. We're going to show you Fulton County.
In 2020, okay?
72% in. You got to call it. You got to call it. You got to call it. Look at this.
It's important for our analysts
200,000 votes.
It's important for the audience to understand at home. This is 4 years ago in Pennsylvania, okay? This is just a 24-hour span from November 3rd into November 4th, from 8 p.m. to 8 p.m. the following day. And the vote that count that came in here, right, it's heavily blue, well over 70%. And then around 11 p.m., you get across of the line. And that's where the Republican votes started coming in for Trump. Then you went well past midnight, and Trump maintained his margin for almost the entire day on Wednesday. And then if you went further off this map, you see where eventually the bars there cross the other way for Joe Biden, okay? So with that in mind, okay, we're going to show you Pennsylvania, and we'll try and digest all this together now. I haven't looked here in some time.
Hey,
you only have a quarter of the vote in now, okay? So at least 75% is still out. And you see a lot of blue in the areas where Kamala Harris needs to do well, namely Pittsburgh, Allegheny County, and namely Philadelphia, and what they call the collar counties around Philadelphia. But the argument for this
will win Virginia. If Donald Trump wins Virginia, there's no path. Kamala Harris is going to have to win Montana. There's no path. There's no path. This is crazy. Donald Trump now pulling away in Virginia. Look at this. Look at this. Ladies and gentlemen, Robbie, I want to grab me that Secretary of State. That Secretary of State link from Virginia. I don't trust it. Meaning this is a mistake. The Secretary of State in Virginia is saying, no, Donald Trump's winning here. Boys, if Donald Trump gets Virginia,
here out of Wisconsin too, and I just want to show you, we said at the start of the night, bow wow. The bow counties, Brown, Outagamie, Winnebago, blue-collar counties, Green Bay, Appleton, Oshkosh. These are areas where Donald Trump lost some ground in 2020, still won them, wants to win it back. And wow, that's Washington, Waukesha, and Ozaukee. These are core Republican suburbs where the Democrats have been gaining. Are the Democrats gaining more? So we do have now nearly 40% of the vote in the biggest of the wow counties. This is Waukesha County. And just to put this in some perspective, this was a bad showing for Republicans. Trump won Waukesha in 2020 by 21 points. But look, in 2016, Trump won it by 27. Go back to Mitt Romney, it was more than 2-1 Republican. This was bad. This is one of the reasons why Donald Trump lost in Wisconsin 4 years ago. Now, the way the vote is coming out in Wisconsin tonight is the absentee vote. We may get absentee vote a little bit later from some of these counties. It's done at the municipal level, but there could be opportunities here for Harris to grow the support. This is not like Pennsylvania, where this is just all Republican gains later on. So we want to keep an eye on here because the Democrats want to get Harris over 40% in Waukesha. They want to keep making gains here. And so with 40% in, you're at about the 2020 level. And this is the other one. Ozaukee County, of all the counties in Wisconsin, this one has the second highest level of educational attainment. That is, people with college degrees. Democrats have been doing much better with this demographic. This showing for Joe Biden in Ozaukee County in 2016, I don't know why it's that, 2020, this showing for Joe Biden, he lost by 12 points, was the best showing for a Democrat in this county since Lyndon Johnson in 1964. So this is one tonight where you want to see if Harris is further improving on this, getting this down, into single digits, 5, 7, 8 points, something like that. So far, are, a little bit more than a quarter of the vote in, this would be a very good number for Democrats out of Ozaukee County. These suburbs right outside Milwaukee used to win Wisconsin for Republicans. Democrats have been eroding that support for Republicans. If they can do more, that's big for them tonight. And then there's this. About a third is in now in Dane County, and this is the mother lode of votes for Democrats. It has become this way in Wisconsin. It used to be that the Democratic coalition was very spread out in the state. Democrats could win dozens of rural counties with blue-collar populations. Trump came along. He's gobbled just about all of those up. So the Democrats are increasingly dependent on just running up the score. This is a massive county, Madison State Capital, University of Wisconsin, high-density suburbs here. And here's the thing in Dane County, every election this century, Democrats have gotten a bigger and bigger margin out of here. This is where it landed in 2020. It's not just the margin, Biden winning this by more than 50 points. It's this. Biden, 260,000. Trump, 78,000. That's a margin of nearly 182,000 votes for Democrats out of this county. And again, if you went back to the turn of the century, Democrats were winning here by about 50,000 votes. Every 04, 08, 12, 16, 20, it gets bigger and bigger and bigger. Democrats want to get even more out of this tonight because, again, they're taking such hits in the rural areas of the state. Can they get this thing up to 195? Could they ever get this to 200,000 votes? Every time you think they've gotten the most they possibly can out of Dane, they get more. They're probably going to need more tonight. So, again, a third of the vote in there right now. Let's see that one as it starts to develop. But seeing that in Wisconsin, overall now, again, 10% or so in statewide, 13% now, and that's what you got in Wisconsin.
I was smacking. Oh, sorry about that.
Mayor, how are you?
Benny, thanks so much for having me. It's great to be here on with you. Great to see you again. Last we saw each other was in Butler at the Public Farm Show. You came just days after July 3rd.
That's right. That's exactly right. Okay, so talk to me about the extension for the voter times.
Well, first, let me just start by saying, isn't it funny how these things always seem to happen in red counties, in Republican counties? We saw this morning. I woke up
President Joe Biden, she struggled to answer that in part, I'm told, because personally she did not want to betray him, but it has been something that's been a challenge for her.
She also cited, I think it was your interview, she cited history, the fact that typically vice presidents, don't.
Yeah, that's right. That was our colleague, Peter Alexander, I think, if I'm remembering that one correctly, in a pull-aside with her several weeks ago. But she said, listen, typically vice presidents don't go after, their boss, if you will, their president. She talked about this issue of loyalty, but at the same time, she also says, my presidency will not be a continuation of the Biden administration.
The problem that she had was when asked specifically, I believe on an ABC program, what would you do differently? She said, nothing comes to mind. Boy, the Trump campaign.
Her campaign's been, 108?
Well, right, but that's about, that question's coming when you have an unpopular incumbent. We want to go to NBC's Sam Brock. He's in Asheville, North Carolina, where I understand the counting is wrapping up. What are you hearing?
Uh-oh.
Savannah, it's done. Look, I have it fresh off the presses right here from Buncombe County. The official results are in. First of all, they had a 73.69% turnout, which is almost their record high. It was 78 back in 2020. But considering everything that happened in Western North Carolina about a month ago, this is extraordinary. And the results are almost exactly the same as they were 4 years ago as well. It was 60-38 in favor of Kamala Harris for this county, which is about 140,000 votes. It was 59-38 back in 2020. This was not, however, your grandmother's democracy process, being sort of a fly on the wall to watch all this happen. Walk with me here for a second. So these are the tabulations that came out. These receipts, guys, were so long, they were strewn across this entire table. I watched as the board went through line item by line item to authenticate it for the unofficial results. There's basically a caravan of cars that comes in. They're all holding from each of the 80 precincts these thick orange cases that have flash drives in them. Bobby, who I'm told has been here with Buncombe County for generations, a 70-something-year-old woman, takes the flash drive out, comes in here and brings it into this room. In the room, it's unencrypted, and so they actually get the data up there and they upload it directly to the county site and then to the state site from this room, and then all of the day of votes get tabulated over in these machines. Fascinating to watch. It is actually now done. Let me send it back to you.
All right, Sam, thank you very much. Got a projection to tell you about. The state of Illinois, Kamala Harris, as expected, takes it. So that's a Midwest hold for Kamala Harris and the Democrats. Let's look at the breakdown here. Half the vote in, and it looks like it will be an easy victory as expected. And so we can fill out one more state on our road to 270 map. The state of Illinois going to Kamala Harris. Let's go to Tom Llamas. You're in North Carolina, where we just heard straight from the horse's mouth, Buncombe County, right there, Asheville. It's been through so much with Hurricane Helene, and Sam Brock had the poll results in his hot little hands.
But were you calling him a horse? That's like, I'm not sure if you were or not. Sam's a tall drink of water, but he's no horse. He's a handsome man. So listen, along the lines of from what he was reporting, and I just checked out those Hurricane Helene counties, we can show you the ones that were affected by the floods. Let me go, hold on one second, here we go. So these were all the counties, the 13 counties that were affected by the floods, where people could vote in other parts of the state if they weren't able to vote in their home county. It's interesting. I was going through the numbers. It doesn't look like there's any kind of drop off there. That's actually better news for the president, because there are more Trump voters out there in the western part of the state, with the exception of the blue dots like Asheville, places like that. Here's where a lot of the vote is still out: Charlotte, Mecklenburg. Look, Trump is on top right now statewide. Mecklenburg is the place where Democrats, I'm going to keep going back to Mecklenburg when we talk about North Carolina. This is Charlotte and then the surrounding suburbs. They need to drive up the vote here. It is a majority minority county. Hispanics and African Americans, they have to drive up the numbers here. When they lose races like Senate races, it's because the turnout is not where it needs to be in Charlotte. So not enough vote there. But the good news is there is vote in other places. Wake County, this is the capital. Raleigh, part of the Research Triangle. You can see Kamala Harris slightly overperforming President Biden with 76% of the vote. Whoops, that was a mistake. Let me go back to North Carolina here. Here we go. Okay. Right over here, Durham, this is where Duke University is.
You nervous with my boy?
81%, let's see how she did compared to Biden. Slightly overperforming there, and just over where UNC Chapel Hill is. Slightly overperforming
that
there.
Donald Trump
Here's
will
one
win.
thing, though, that Republicans have something to possibly celebrate.
They may not win outright the Muslim vote, but will win in the 30%, the Muslim vote. Dude, stop putting Liz Cheney in your cabinet, Kamala. Yeah, it's a good lesson for you. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the moment. This is the moment. We need to lock up Georgia. We need to lock up Arizona. And we need to call this thing 76%. And Donald Trump is now pulling ahead in Georgia. Look at this.
County is a pivotal swing county that has swung from side to side over the past several elections, David.
Yeah, one of those boomerang counties we're going to be watching very closely, area up in the northwestern part of Pennsylvania. Matt, thanks so much. Let's go to the wall here. You can see the three blue wall states right up there right now. Kamala Harris with a lead early in the night in all three of those states, Pennsylvania, Michigan, and Wisconsin, all about the same margin, by the way, 52 to 47 Pennsylvania, a similar lead in Michigan, and with 18% of the vote in Wisconsin, 51-47. Lindsay, I know we're getting some exit poll data from voters, how independents are breaking in these so-called three blue wall states, or Rust Belt states as they're called.
And obviously the independent voter, highly coveted by both campaigns. It's not voting so well for Kamala Harris for those independent voters in Pennsylvania. You see 24% of those voters, pretty significant amount, about a quarter of those voters in Pennsylvania identify as independent, and they are breaking by 6 points for Donald Trump. He actually is doing 6 points better. More of the same there, where she's leading by 4 points with the independent votes Donald Trump doing 5 points better with the independent voters in Wisconsin in 2020. He's doing 1 point better in Michigan and when it comes to the independent voter.
Mary Bruce, this makes me think of you and your reporting these last couple of days, the Harris campaign telling you that this was going to be very close, and they said they knew that.
And that is what we are seeing here tonight. Very close, still very tight, and a long way to go. I mean, that is the message coming out of the Harris campaign tonight. I think they are encouraged and buoyed by what they are seeing in Pennsylvania. I think, when it comes to Georgia, I'm hearing that they are pointing particularly to the suburban support that they're getting there. They say they are tracking slightly above expectations among suburban early voters in Georgia. They also are pointing to the rural turnout in Georgia. They say they are not seeing signs of some surging rural turnout. They, of course, are waiting for results from those larger rural counties. But look, they have said all along their most straightforward path is to win the blue wall states, Michigan, Pennsylvania, Wisconsin.
For you all, NTD projections here. The state of Georgia, all eyes on that peach state. It is still too close to call. There are 16 electoral votes at stake in that state. 77% of the votes in so far. Just saw the numbers jump right there. State of Virginia, also too close to call. Could be a bit of a surprise tonight. 13 electoral votes at stake there. 58% of the votes in. Those numbers will be coming in. North Carolina, 16 electoral votes there, too close to call as well. 63% of the votes in so far for that state. Pennsylvania, of course, a big focus tonight. Too early to call. 19 electoral votes again. Very important to that race, 270. And let's look at a Senate race. Texas, looks like it is still too early to call right now. Ted Cruz does look like he's leading there, though. Chuck Schumer did pour a lot of money into the Democratic race there for Colin Allred, so we'll be watching that race as the night progresses. 64% of the votes in so far. Let's bring on, there you have it, the electoral map. So far, Trump has 178 electoral votes, Harris with 99. Those yellow states you're seeing on screen still too early or too close to pass those numbers come in.
To get to 270 tonight includes the independent voters. I would think that seeing the way they're breaking in Pennsylvania, at least early in the preliminary exits, is not terribly encouraging, though independents, Lindsay was pointing out, Michigan and Wisconsin are breaking her way, again, according to the preliminary exit polls. And in fact, we've got some great new numbers coming in from Wisconsin that we can dig into and really see how both campaigns are doing here right after the break. Don't go away. ABC News live coverage of the presidential race continues. Wisconsin up on deck here. We're
Trump
look
at
the
Mar-a-Lago
from that state.
President Trump has been making little pop-ins. He's been doing the pop-in all day. President Trump's been doing the pop-in. President Trump at Mar-a-Lago, doing the pop-in, walking in, getting applause. Let's go ahead and check in on the president. What's he look like, Klein? Let's see him. Okay, it's just some applause. My producers are telling me that there's no audio, meaning he doesn't speak in this clip. And the clip's playing all glitchy, Klein. So there we go. All right. There it is. Okay, so this is President Trump, looking sharp. Had a legendary run. And you can see Laura Trump. You see Barron Trump back there. Look at it, Barron. I know Barron Trump when I see him. Look at Barron Trump standing behind. Hello, Faza. Faza, put me in charge of punishing those who are so cruel to you. I will avenge you, Faza. This is Barron Trump. Look at Barron Trump glaring from behind his dad. Do you think Trump's bad? Wait till we enter Baroness Maximus, a beneficent dictatorship. It'll be like 20 years before he's old enough to even run for president. So chill out, libs. Chill out, libs. Clipping this show, idiots. Okay, here we go. That's Donald Trump. Make sure that we pop in when the president sort of does the little. There are events going on all throughout Palm Beach, all throughout Trump's clubs. Trump's clubs completely closed down, only members tonight. And we have our executive producers at the ready at Donald Trump's victory party to bring you the sights and sounds. Robbie, I want you to effort to Danny and ALX. I want to get some behind the scenes from them. And ladies and gentlemen, speaking of behind the scenes,
that we don't all agree on 100% of nitty-gritty policy questions. That's part of what makes this new kind of alliance a beautiful thing in American politics, to say that we agree on the basic rules of the road, even if we have some policy differences on what level of state action or must.
People used to like him until he back Donald Trump than they turned on.
So I think what we're going to see in phase one of this, as Donald Trump takes office in January 20th, is, I hope, and I think it's going to be the case, Megyn, a kind of national unity we haven't seen in a really long time. Multiple former Democrats involved in some way, multiple independents, multiple of us who ran against Donald Trump, multiple people who are outsiders coming from the world of business to go in and shake up the government. And I don't think we're going to go incrementally. I think we're going to go big, go early. And I think that that's good for the benefit of the country. And I think that's going to be a phase of uniting the country against the bureaucracy, against the unelected managerial class and three-letter agencies that have for too long been making policy. I think that's going to be phase one of this. I think necessarily because of the fact that, this was not people who are 100% policy aligned on every micro question. I think if you roll this forward 2, 3, 4 years, you're going to see healthy then debates emerge within the America First movement itself about the level of state interventionism we want. Do we want to use the regulatory state to accomplish our objectives? Or do we want to get in there and actually finish the job of just shutting it down all the way? Where are we on questions of declaring economic independence from China versus, trade that's required to enhance that or make that happen? Where are we on the question of legal immigration? We're all vehemently opposed to illegal immigration, but where are we on legal immigration? So I think it's going to come in two phases, where in the first phase of this, we're going to see a kind of unity that goes beyond just unity in the Republican Party, but frankly, unity for the country by bringing together this truly diverse, and not in the Democratic identity politics sense of diverse, but an actually diverse coalition that revives and infuses, I think, a kind of spirit we've been missing in our national character for a long time. And then I think that will lay the groundwork for what I think can be some healthy, constructive debates on some of the smaller but still more important policy questions in the long run for the Republican Party. And I think the America First movement will be stronger for having that debate, but I think that's not going to come in year one. I think in year one, we're going to see a level of unity around the basic rules of the road, from free speech, meritocracy, self-governance, shutting down the managerial administrative state. I think those things, that diverse coalition you described, is rock solid on. And then I think we move this movement forward from there.
Wow. This is a vision into what could be if Donald Trump actually wins this thing tonight and possibly maintains control of the House as the Republican Party and wins over control of the Senate. Vivek, all the best. Great to see you. Thank you.
We'll talk soon. Thank you, guys. Bye.
Wow. I just want to tell you one story about Vivek before I bring on my next guest. Years ago, I had a woman on the show who got fired over some BS cancel culture nonsense because she stood up against the DEI stuff being shoved down her throat. And I've never told a story before, but I got a call after the show from a friend of Vivek's, and I didn't know Vivek. And he said he wants to help her. And he volunteered to pay her legal fees in going after, and that he wasn't even on the national scene yet. I'm like so proud of him that he's gone from this guy who just like was on the outside looking at it and said, how can I help? This is nonsense. Was a real warrior against the woke DEI nonsense, which is all but collapsed. It's not done, but it's collapsing. The Democrats didn't even run on it. They ran away from it. The New York Times did an article on that.
+5. I think it's at
and now look at
points
it.
right now. So our polling was pretty good.
So North Carolina has been called on decision by decision desk for President Trump. Do you agree with that call?
Yeah, 100%.
Yep. Okay. Georgia, they're hanging out at 79% here. President Trump is in the like 200,000 to 300,000 vote range. Is there any? Do you see any capacity for any? For any all the king's horses and all the king's men to rally forward? Any massive drop for Kamala?
Surprised it hasn't been called yet.
Interesting. And so Virginia, you're saying this Virginia call will eventually end up to be the right call, even though President Trump is ahead right now in Virginia.
Yeah, I think it comes down to the individual models and how detailed they are in the precincts and whether the registration gains, maybe he holds it up, but they're looking and stack ranking these precincts and saying, well, there are more blue heavy precincts than there are red heavy. And I think that they're probably applying what we're seeing now with the early returns. I really don't know how those black boxes work. But yeah, I mean, it looks like, where are we at with Loudoun County? 95% of the votes in, but Fairfax only has 73% of the vote in. So it looks like there's still a lot that might come back in Fairfax, and that's being balanced out by all of these rural counties out to the left. It's really, you know, like I'm not sure exactly what's driving those models, but with a massive city center, population center like Alexandria sitting out there, that's probably what we're up against, right?
Got it. So, okay.
18% of Richmond's vote in, things like that.
I'm
Norfolk.
You know, I watched the way that Virginia conducted their elections in 2022, and I know the systems have gotten really strong since then, and they've been winning electoral integrity victories in the Supreme Court. And so we've been using the Secretary of State website. New York Times hasn't called Virginia yet. AP hasn't called Virginia yet. Fox News hasn't called Virginia yet. And so that's just an interesting outlier. Okay, what's the next thing we should be looking for, Mark, on this map?
Really, it just comes down to the Rust Belt's dumping all their returns right now. Even as we're talking, more and more are coming in. And, Trump's got to win one of those states.
Man, Pennsylvania's getting close, bro. Pennsylvania's within a point and a half, effectively, for Donald Trump.
Pittsburgh and Philadelphia rushed to dump some early results, and it looks like there's just a lot of rural counties out there that haven't reported yet or have reported small numbers. And we all know the stories of massive rural turnout this time around in Pennsylvania. Yes. Looks like the New York Times model is starting to put it closer to Trump. And where are we at with Michigan starting to lean closer to Trump too? Wisconsin's more of a toss-up. The betting markets are interpreting all very positively for Trump. So make of that what you will. Michigan's up to 64-36 on Trump. And so I think those people, listen, we've talked about how these markets are manipulated, but if you're going to manipulate a betting market, you don't do it with 5 hours left to go.
Right? Dude, bro, we're looking at all-time highs.
Yeah.
With Donald Trump. So here on screen, we have 80%. Donald Trump has blown past the prophecy of 69-420 and is now at 80%. Kamala is down to 20, and she's just collapsed over the last 90 minutes. Kamala Harris is down 21 points.
Yeah, this is really great. Everybody says the Rust Belt polls, the results are all going to be close. And I really hope that's the case, because if it comes down to one Rust Belt state that Trump's hanging his hopes on, they're going to drag it out. It's going to be 3 weeks. We're going to be rifling through overseas ballots. And I just don't think that's a good place for us to be in.
No, you said that on the program the other day, and I said, you know what? It's so bad for the country to have these things decided by lawyers. It's a horrible place for the country to be. To have some lawyer come in and to manipulate the process and have it dragged out for days and weeks and months. In the case of like an Al Gore, right? It's 39 days past the election that Al Gore finally conceded. So, all right. So Pennsylvania, this is of course probably the next closest. Georgia, I think, is in a really solid position. That's going to be, hopefully, no major shock there. Looks like President Trump is pulling ahead as well. Yeah. Pennsylvania, what do we look for here? Let's jump into the map and let's jump into county by county.
I'm literally watching the percent tick up. It just went from 37 to 40%. So Pennsylvania is absolutely putting results out. And I can tell you the New York Times statistical model is perceiving all these returns to be better for Trump because the little dial thingy is moving to the right. But Kamala Harris's lead is going up. So what's happening is they're interpreting traditionally bluer areas and saying, well, it is adding to Kamala Harris's lead, but we expected to find more. And also, I think there's a lot of rural areas here that haven't reported, and they're going to find more than, oh, wow, it just went back, tightened again. So, yeah, Pennsylvania is about to break, looks like to me.
Wow. So you're saying, and then that'd be amazing if it happened. It'd be amazing if it happens right now. Look at that. A point, Mark. Is there anything that has broken your model? Anything that's broken your model?
I know. I think, listen, I had Pennsylvania tied, Trump +1, Trump +3, Trump +2. Okay. I think we're going to see probably a 1 or 2 point Trump lead here at the end of the day based on the way things are going. But again, they're all toss-ups. It all comes down to, did rural turn out more? Did Democrat turn out more or less? And what we've seen from the early vote and what we've seen from the polling is that Republicans said they were going to vote on Election Day. Election Day voters said they're going to vote Trump. and the early returns have been bad for Democrats, and independents are breaking more to the right than they were before. And so I think that, it's going to strain their model. We'll see, right? Like this could turn back left if are some prizes from more blue areas. But right now, it looks good. The statistical models are treating it well. The betting market's treating it well. Donald Trump just pulled ahead in Wisconsin with 35% of the vote in. So, yeah.
Let's pop back out and jump over there.
Yeah, I'm looking at a lot of this stuff for the first time. I've been talking for the last 2 hours. But,
bro.
I think this is looking really strong. Listen, the fundamentals always supported this. The polling has been better than any of the previous 2 cycles. I don't even think at this point in time in 2016, Trump's odds were this high. So now the betting market's Trump 81. It's like breaking down right now as we're watching it.
It's remarkable. It's really exciting, actually. Yeah. Do you agree with this New York Times needle? Here, this is the thing that's getting all the play right now. The New York Times needle has now snapped and is swinging wildly towards the 300 mark.
Yeah, I remember the needle because I was watching it 8 years ago. That was a very fascinating evening. Needle is prone to massive swings, but yes, this agrees with the betting market. This agrees with my polling, which seems like it was. I had my polling show Trump take 2 out of the 3 Rust Belt states. That's what it looks like, how people are interpreting this data. So,
wow.
Yeah.
Wow. What's the, Mark, I know that we're tight on time here. What's the next thing to watch for?
Very quickly, it is now 10 p.m. here in New York. 3 more states in the West have just finished voting. Fox News Decision Desk, too early to call. The state of Nevada, one of the most competitive states in play. Hispanic and working class voters obviously could be key to the victory there. Both of these candidates have spent a lot of time in Nevada.
Fox News can project that former President Trump will win the state of Utah, adding another 6 votes, electoral votes to his column. He'll also win Montana's presidential election. We're looking closely at that Senate race out there.
Ad lib. Oh.
Yes, you will.
I just did that. All right, so let's take a look at some of the places that are too early to call, and let's get you an update on the total count. President Trump at 205 right now, 117 for Harris, and waiting on Georgia, waiting on North Carolina, waiting on Pennsylvania, waiting on Michigan. And, just keep in mind that in all these places, there's a lot of city vote, a lot of high population concentrated vote that has not come in yet. The question is whether or not that vote, when it does come in, will be enough to outbalance what we have seen in the early part of this vote here.
Montana, as we mentioned, also home to this pivotal Senate race. Longtime rural Democratic Senator John Tester in the political fight of his life this time. He survived it before, but this time Republican former Navy SEAL Tim Sheehy putting up a real fight and may win. The Fox News Decision Desk says it's too early to call there. Nevada also home, too early to call to this Senate race between incumbent Democratic Senator Jackie Rosen and Republican Army veteran Sam Brown.
But in Utah, Fox News is projecting the Republican Congressman John Curtis will move to the Senate. He succeeds retiring Senator Mitt Romney of Utah. Let's take a look at the balance of power as we pull up the Senate here and show you where we are at 10:01 in the evening. Republicans now have 48 seats, including the West Virginia seat, which is a flip. Majority obviously would be 51. 38 seats on the Democratic side as we wait for a number of very consequential Senate races to come in here this evening.
Well, welcome to the panel, Laura Ingraham. Sean Hannity is still here. Jesse Waters. Jesse, what are you thinking?
Well, if this was a cannonball contest, Trump would be winning by a lot because of the huge splash in Florida. I mean, he beat Biden by 3 and now is at almost 14 over Harris. That's a big statement right out of the gate. She has not had a big statement so far tonight. The other big splash, Virginia. Now, we don't know how Virginia is going to shake out, but Biden won Virginia by 10, and now it's tied. Obviously, it's too close to call, but right now she's playing defense. The Trump team is very confident that Georgia and North Carolina are going to go their way, and Harris is going to have to play defense in Pennsylvania, Michigan, and Wisconsin. You're hearing Trump doubling his black support in Wisconsin, ahead with young voters in Michigan, and in Pennsylvania winning independents. And they say the math doesn't work in Philadelphia County. So who knows what's going to happen? Still too early to call, but you definitely think the Trump team has momentum here.
Laura, Virginia, you were talking about earlier. We'll put up the big board about Virginia and show that race. There you see the 50% to 48.3, 61% in. Too soon to call for us.
Well, this is wild. Remember, Trump didn't come anywhere near these numbers in 2016 or 2020. The Loudoun County numbers that we were talking about earlier are really something to watch. Trump is outperforming.
Remain very optimistic, and I've kind of challenged a little bit of that optimism. You know, are they generally just sort of happy, optimistic people? And this one woman actually just was very sweet. She took a moment and said, you know, regardless of the outcome, I am still going to be positive, regardless of what happens in this election. And I think that just really highlights just how razor close this election is, and also just how partisan politics have become in America. And so for her, this idea that regardless of the outcome, that there's still going to be positivity within the country, that was really very important. Of course, when we're not listening to results coming in, there's a lot of music and dancing that's happening. That kind of jovial, club-like atmosphere continues. Let's see how long into the night it will go.
All right, Samira, we'll check back with you in a little while. Let's go to Florida now to Gary. Gary, what are things like there?
Well, a lot of excitement in the room here, actually, when the crowd are starting to see some of the numbers on the screen. They're very excited about the numbers in Virginia in particular, where the race could be closer than it was last time when it went for Joe Biden. They were cheering a lot when they saw the recent vote count numbers for North Carolina. And there's some big cheers, obviously, earlier in the evening when Fox particularly predicted Florida for Donald Trump, and indeed Texas. So some big excitement in the room. I was speaking to some people, some of the special guests here who are out down the back of the room drinking wine and beer. There was a group of bikers for Trump. They were looking forward to the night. There was a group of women in these sparkly jackets who said that Donald Trump was going to make America sparkle again, and they were treating this like their Christmas, they said. So a lot of great excitement. Some children here too. There was a chat with a young child, Noel, 15 months old, running around having a lot of excitement. Even someone with a baby in a stroller. So a lot of atmosphere growing here, as you can expect. They're being buoyed by some of the sort of vote counts they're seeing on screen. And you may have noticed behind me, they're actually showing CNN
and then
here,
I do that,
which is slightly
tilting the
anomalous.
state on its side. This will illustrate what I mean. See these larger, higher bars here? That's where there are more votes, right? There's more people in Detroit, for example, and Democrats have to get large margins there. So in the case of Detroit, we're going to be watching, can Kamala Harris not just win by a given percentage, but can she replicate something like the 330,000 vote margin that he built up there? And that comes back to the turnout story.
Same thing in Oakland County, just to the north.
Same thing in Oakland, right? We're going to be looking at that, and that's where Biden got 56%. So, but also got 100,000 votes more added to his total. The Democrats have to do that in order to carry the state, if they do, because the rural Republican counties add up and add up. In this case, for Donald Trump, Nora.
Okay, great. Gentlemen, thank you very much. The exit polls have some really interesting information. I, of course, got a sneak peek of them because I get to sit next to John Dickerson.
One of the many advantages of that.
That's right. That's right. So tell us what you're seeing.
Well, we're going to zip all the way to the other part of the country. We're going to look at Arizona and Nevada. But it's essentially the same story that Major and Anthony were telling, which is, when we look at this election, the Democrats have to turn out their voters, and Donald Trump has to turn out his voters. Well, Latinos are key to the Democratic coalition. Let's look first in Arizona, how Kamala Harris is doing with Latino voters. Well, she's up by 14 points, so you might think, well, she's doing pretty well. But if you compare that to what Joe Biden did in 2020 in the state of Arizona, he won them by 24 points. Yeah. So Kamala Harris is underperforming what Biden did in 2020. Also, just a sideline, an interesting story of the night, if these exit polls are solid, there seems to be a much larger Latino vote in Arizona. The share is much larger than it was in 2020. That's something in the future to look at. But now let's look.
That's just the future of Arizona in general.
But it's a 7-point difference.
Yeah,
that seems a lot.
Historically have exceptionally low turnout. Yeah.
But the difference between 16 and 20 was only 4 points. So it seems, I mean, I'm not saying it's not true. I'm just saying it's interesting to look at. Nevada, the share is the same between 20 and 24, 17%. And we see here that Kamala Harris has a 50 to 45 point lead. That's in Nevada, where the polls just closed. That's 5 points. Biden was up by 26 in Nevada.
Remember, we're seeing in the national numbers that Trump is winning Latino men. That's part of what's changing this, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yes, and not doing as well, and she's not doing as well with Latinas.
And I had spoken to one Democratic pollster before this evening, and he said very clearly, if Trump on the national numbers gets 40% of the Latino vote, Harris is screwed.
Yeah.
That is a very concerning number for them. And the reason this is such a big deal is because Latinos really, we've said this for so many years, but this year it is true. Latinos could very much end up being the decisive demographic in this election. They're the largest minority group in the country. There are an estimated 36 million Latinos eligible to vote in this election. And when you were talking about election that is in the margins by 1 point or another, like the one that we are following tonight in a state like Arizona, in a state like Philadelphia, it is this specific demographic that could make or break it for either side.
Mm-hmm. Just to give you the national Latino vote, Harris is up by 5 points. Biden won it by 21 points. That's the national number.
So concerning to the Harris campaign.
The point that you hear from whether it's Marco Rubio or others is to say, put the identity aside and look at the issue of the economy and border, and particularly the economy. I had Senator Cortez Masto of Nevada on the program on Sunday, and she was saying, look, Nevada is always going to be tight. Pointed to her own race, but she only won by about 8,000 votes in 2022. But when I pointed out to her those demographics Trump seems to be edging in on, those without college degrees, those who are first frustrated about the economy, that fits her state as a profile. Nevada has the second highest unemployment rate in the country.
Right.
And so this is a place, as we get later on into the evening, we're going to be parsing these things very, very closely.
One interesting just to remember is Nevada is the smallest electoral prize of the night, just six electoral votes. It is also the most diverse battleground state and also has more registered nonpartisan voters than Democrats or Republicans, but a state worth watching and certainly getting that new data. Robert Costa, I think you had some new reporting you wanted to share as well.
Yes, just briefly, have been speaking to Representative Brian Fitzpatrick in suburban Philadelphia, represents Bucks County, a centrist Republican. He has long been a representative and political organizer in that area, a key area if Vice President Harris wants to win. He said Trump is now on track based on all of the returns he has seen to do better than expected in Bucks County, Pennsylvania. I was with Vice President Harris when she went to Bucks County. They've put a huge emphasis on that. When we look at Michigan and Wisconsin, labor is going to be key. Sean Fain, the head of the United Auto Workers, just told me moments ago that he believes labor is going to turn out in strong numbers, that they're going to hit their metrics they need in Michigan for Vice President Harris to do well. Notably, just got off the phone with Senator Ron Johnson in Wisconsin, a Republican. He's a little nervous about what the Democrats are doing in Milwaukee. He thinks they might have strong turnout there. He said it's very early in the night. He's also watching the suburbs of Milwaukee. But so far, Senator Johnson told me he believes ultimately the rural turnout in Wisconsin could put that state in the column for Trump. It's still early in the evening, but most notable in Bucks County, Pennsylvania, the centrist Republican there, Brian Fitzpatrick, no big fan of Trump, believes Trump is doing well.
But isn't Bucks County the one collar county that Republicans have done well in?
They have over the years, but so have Democratic presidents in recent cycles.
But just recently, the Republican hasn't won it since 1992.
In the national,
Yeah.
Let's check in now with Chief White House correspondent Nancy Cordes with Vice President Harris at Howard University in Washington, D.C. Nancy?
Nora, it's funny that Robert Costa just heard from Senator Ron Johnson saying he's a little nervous about Wisconsin. I just heard from a top Democratic operative who says he's worried about Wisconsin, too. And so I think the bottom line is that everyone is pretty nervous right about now. They're certainly nervous in this crowd here at Howard University. Unlike all the Kamala Harris rallies we've been to in the past few weeks, it's totally silent here. People are watching the screens. They're checking their phones. They're having hushed conversations. elections. They're waiting for some good news, and they haven't seen any in a while.
Or whether it's volunteers, that has been a dormant office. They put it there just to have it there, just to say they have a presence in the community. That's the same lip service that we get when Republicans are actually in office. It is lip service, pretending to have a presence, but not doing anything to actually engage the Black community.
All right, Mandela, great to speak to you. Thank you so much for joining us again on BBC News.
Thank you.
And over to Katrina. She's got another projection for us.
Indeed, I do. Now, we have another state projection to bring to you. And at this time, we are in a position to project the state of Colorado. The state of Colorado projected as a win for Kamala Harris and the 10 electoral votes that goes along with that. So what difference does that make to the race to 270? Let's have a look at our board there. You can see that brings Kamala Harris up to 91. Donald Trump is on 178. So still quite a way. Oh, we have someone's pulled the plug out on our board there. Not to worry, we'll plug it back in, put a few more quid in the meter for the electricity bill here, and we'll be back in business. We don't want that happening this long. No, so many hours.
Real shenanigans going on here. What the hell is that about? I don't know. We know that the president and his team have the best election monitors on earth watching this, so we're not going to freak out. I mean, I am going to freak out if Donald Trump wins Wisconsin in a landslide. Of course, I'm going to freak out. Producers, I want to be very, very clear about sort of where we sit. Okay, so it looks like what happened there was a correction in Wisconsin, a data reporting correction, which always is a little suspicious, but it is what it is. Okay. The freakout was merited, ladies and gentlemen. The freakout was merited. And
share, subscribe.
There you go.
We just
and here we go. Would you look at that?
Results, seeing what's going
look at
on.
that. Arizona flips red. Arizona flips red.
Yeah, we need that red.
New Mexico is currently red. It's 21% in. I'm going to do something because I don't know if Donald Trump will win New Mexico. We are going to preemptively play a Donald Trump victory for New Mexico. Klein, Eric sent a very specific one. I'm just going to celebrate this current map. I'm going to break my own rule one time, and I'm going to play you the New Mexico Donald Trump celebration because Donald Trump is currently winning New Mexico with 21% reporting. Let's go. Come on. We have more fun. Why the hell would you watch corporate media when you can watch us have meltdowns and play memes?
And you show that, you see, she's doing quite well.
Let's go, George.
In those suburban and metro areas. So if we just go to Pennsylvania again, you see it in Scranton area around Lackawanna, 95% of the vote counted. She is, what is she there? She's 3 points ahead of Donald Trump. If it was to show you 2016 when Hillary Clinton lost Pennsylvania, it is, what you see is the same sort of margin. So she's not doing as well as Joe Biden. And she probably knew that, to be honest. She probably knew that she wasn't going to be doing what Joe Biden did to win the White House back in 2020. She knew the game, that she had to get more out of places like Philadelphia and Pittsburgh. None of these states can be predicted, but I think it's becoming more predictable how each of these candidates will win.
Okay, Christian, thanks for that. We'll be back over to you in another little while.
All right, let's check in now on the state of Ohio, not actually a swing state, but still we want to check in there and speak to Republican Frank LaRose. He is the Secretary of State in Ohio. Great to have you on our program tonight. Just first of all, we know the polls closed a few hours ago there in Ohio, but tell us how vote counting has been going and just how the process of voting went today in Ohio.
Well, today was a very smooth election because of the 35,000 hardworking elections officials. Really, everything went quite well in Ohio. The polls closed right on time at 7:30. We are well past 60% reported, and it's been a really good night for Republicans so far in Ohio, it appears. But, of course, we've got more votes to count yet.
Of course, our home to the Republican vice presidential pick, the senator from Ohio, J.D. Vance. Has his name on the ticket, do you think, made a difference to turnout?
I think it has. JD's the hometown guy. Ohio's very excited to see him become the next vice president of the United States, and I think that
final
has helped
estimate
boost
that Trump will
Republicans
win
around the state
Wisconsin,
as
will
well.
win Nevada, will win Michigan. Trump will win Pennsylvania. New York Times is predicting that Trump will win Georgia, win North Carolina, and Donald Trump will win Arizona. What have I been telling you about Arizona? New York Times says Donald Trump's chance in all swing states is the best in Arizona. Let's look at the map. We're going to live on this map. Now is go time. The time is 10:18 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. This is go time. Killer Klein has a shocking update about a region that Kamala Harris has won. Kamala Harris has won Ukraine. Kamala Harris projected winner in Ukraine. Very excited about that. Okay, back to that. It's a good meme. Good meme. I don't want to
share, subscribe, man.
Don't want to miss a thing.
I'll never go live. I'm just
even when you close your
watching
eyes.
this.
No one ever took me for a singer, baby. I don't want to miss a thing. Wisconsin back red. Let's look. Wisconsin back to that ridiculous 95%. What the hell is going on in Wisconsin? Get me more Wisconsin numbers. Team, I need Wisconsin numbers now. What's going on here? We're back to 95% reporting Wisconsin. I feel like I'm taking crazy pills. I feel like I'm going to what's going on here?
Click that like,
Wisconsin.
Subscribe, hit the bell.
What's going on?
Big channel guy,
producers,
somebody watch.
let's go. Get me something else with Wisconsin. Now.
Just bouncing from
Wisconsin is back to 95%. I can't take it anymore. Wisconsin is back to 95%. Donald Trump winning in a landslide in Wisconsin. Sorry, that's what this is. This is a landslide. Donald Trump winning by 400,000 votes in Wisconsin. That's what it shows me right now. Ladies and gentlemen, Trump takes Wisconsin. Under that circumstance. 82% in Georgia. Donald Trump winning by 200,000 votes. 82% in. You cannot make up this. Call it.
Here, okay? We talked about
Georgia.
We talked about Milwaukee. What about Green Bay? That's Brown County, all right? Right now, with 46% of the vote reporting, in Brown County, which is Green Bay, Trump's up 3.6 points at this time in the night, okay? Take this off. We'll move down here to Outagamie, all right? He's up 1.8 points higher than he was 4 years ago. Take that off. This is Winnebago, right? Trump is up 1.3 points at this point in the vote, higher than he was 4 years ago. And, you know, when you're analyzing the state going into this election, those are three of the counties you're looking at where he's trying to drive the numbers up, and he's able to do that. And so this is where we sit, you know, half a point. And not for nothing, guys, but sorry, come on back here. Not for nothing. But Robert Kennedy has racked up 8,000 votes in Wisconsin. And 2020 in Wisconsin, we'll get it here. Yeah, I got you. 20,682.
Wow.
Maybe it matters, guys, or maybe it doesn't, but it's just something to point out right now. Right. When we come back, I'll take you to Michigan. Some things happening there as well. Fascinating, too.
Took those votes.
That's something to keep an eye on.
The 31,000 votes you talked about, Laura, you think they're going to count in money? That's in Milwaukee, right?
They're reprocessing them. They've begun to reprocess them, but there's no indication as to when.
Iowa has been called for Donald Trump. 29% in. Iowa called for Donald Trump. They say no. Call it. Iowa for Donald Trump. Have we done a dance yet to that? No, we haven't. Are you sure? Happy to do another one. Here we go. Show me Trump winning Iowa. Let's go, boys. This is really good. Okay. Taylor Swift. Wow. It's Trump's play. Taylor Swift does love jets. She does love her jets, doesn't she?
We want to be prudent.
Oh, man. Things are going nuts right now. Donald Trump winning massively in the outer boroughs of New York. The Bronx went 21 plus 21 points for Trump. Queens plus 20 points for Trump. Brooklyn plus 11 points for Trump. This is where all the minorities live in New York. This is Trump winning with black and Hispanic voters. This is incredible. What you are witnessing is the remaking of the political landscape.
It'll send you to a webpage where you can vote on this poll. We've already had a couple of results come in. That's because some of you are looking at our website and you're voting on this before we even brought it to air. Arizona, Michigan, North Carolina, Wisconsin, Georgia, Nevada, Pennsylvania. Those are the 7 key battlegrounds we've been following. The question is, which battleground state do you think will have the most impact on the presidential race? Right now, it appears with 51% of the vote, Pennsylvania is looking like it's taking the cake. But again, we've only gotten a few dozen, I believe, answers to this poll so far. So if you want,
worked for them to do. And I just want to mention, Nora, a really interesting storyline that you guys have been talking about here in Philadelphia. We know that the 3 wards with the most Puerto Ricans have been voting for, have been turning out in record numbers. And so they are very...
Okay, so let's just start at the beginning.
Well, let me start with this. What is at stake here? What is the answer then?
Do you know why? You want me to just keep going?
Is that a good thing or a bad thing?
Were there death threats?
How is this possible?
What's wrong with that argument?
Are you saying they lied?
Have you told the government that? Why won't you say the word crisis?
83% in. And Donald Trump's lead is growing in Georgia. Just call Georgia. New Mexico. Donald Trump is winning. 22% is in. Sorry, let me zoom in, ladies and gentlemen. 22% is in. Donald Trump is winning New Mexico. Do you understand?
Versus 48.
Do you understand?
That's with nearly half of those votes being tallied so far. Looks like Michigan is leaning blue right now. Only 21% of the votes called so far. Less than a quarter of the results have been tallied in Michigan. Of course, so much attention is going to be on the Detroit metro. How are those votes going to fall? That's also, I believe, the largest hub of Arab Americans that are going to be voting as well. It'll be interesting to see how they react to some of the news and how the Biden administration has handled the Israel-Hamas war. Moving on to more battlegrounds. Pennsylvania, this is the one that our viewers say is the most important. Just over half of the votes have been tallied so far. 55% has been counted in Pennsylvania. And Trump right now has just under a 3-point lead in this.
Don't mean to cut you off here. We do have more of these now winning candidates stepping up to their election rallies and watch parties, including Maryland Senator-elect Angela also Brooks there. Let's watch.
Doesn't it feel good to be in Maryland tonight? Oh, yes. Well, first of all, to Alex, you know, she forgot to tell you one important part of that story. She's the one who got on the bus after I had to race after her first grade friends and said, well, we have to wait for a certain 40-year-old to come across the park. Well, I have to say, first of all, tonight,
Yeah, Lindsay, polling places in about half a dozen states were disrupted and targeted by these bomb threats. As you mentioned, Georgia there among the handful of states, all pretty much battleground states here, Arizona, Michigan, Wisconsin, Pennsylvania. Of course, in those cases where there were any delays, there were voting hours that were extended. And these are isolated cases in Pennsylvania, in Georgia, as well as in Arizona. Now, as to what we know about where these bomb threats are coming from, secretaries of state in Georgia and in Arizona have alluded to the fact that there seems to be some sort of link to Russia or Russian bad actors. Here's what we know. There is an important caveat on that. The FBI has only said that some of the threats came from Russian email domains. That means that the actors behind them aren't necessarily from Russia. You or I could sign up for a Russian email domain, and cybersecurity officials and law enforcement officials I've been speaking to tonight say they're combing through some of these threats. They're determining patterns, similarities, but it might take days or even weeks to really attribute and pinpoint exactly where these threats are coming from. But again, the big
good headline here, Lindsay, no material effect on the outcome of the U.S. election here.
And Nicole, quickly, the FBI is warning about some misinformation videos using their logo.
Stage without thanking
That's exactly
some very
right.
special
The FBI
people who made tonight possible. First and foremost, to the single most in
the presidency,
the baddest campaign team, let me tell you.
Did you hear me? 242, 270 to win. Idaho's a lock, ladies and gentlemen. Pennsylvania does it. Ladies and gentlemen, we are rolling.
Yeah, it's looking close.
Okay.
Looking real close.
We got to dance. It better be a good one. Is it a good one for Georgia? I think so. Okay. All right. Here we go. Trump wins in Georgia. Go, baby. Kamala Harris having a meltdown. Okay. Kamala Harris losing it as Trump locks up Georgia. Oh, man. Yes. Let's freaking go. MAGA hats in Fulton, baby. We told you we have something special for you. We have something special for you in Georgia. We went to Fulton County last week. This is the county that tried to lock up Donald Trump. And ladies and gentlemen, we handed out MAGA hats. And this is just a little sampling of how that went. Better.
Life was 100 times better, and I felt like the tip of the spear was sharp. Come on now.
America. Listen, man, Donald Trump is the best thing that ever happened to America, and I'm gonna tell you why. Let's go.
Of course. Who you voting for?
Trump.
Yeah, why's that?
Because we need to be Republican again.
I don't know what they gotta say about Trump, but I know what I gotta say about it. I'll with him. Excuse my language.
Okay, it's choppy.
Yes.
We're gonna need to fix that up.
Thank you so
Give me the
much,
Trump mug.
to the Democratic Party led by Ken Ullman and also Dr. Charlene Dukes. I want to thank them so much for all their incredible support. All of my friends in elective office, don't we have the baddest captain of Team Maryland, Governor Westmore? I want to thank him so much. All of our friends and our federal delegation who are here tonight. You just heard from Senators Cardin and Van Hollen. I want to thank them. All of our the congressmen who are here. I see Congressman Hoyer. I want to thank him so very much. Congressman Mfume, sir, thank you so much. Congressman Sarbanes. And Congressman Raskin. Yes, Congressman Raskin. Yes. America's
House, all
Congressman.
134
Congressman
seats
Ivey.
are
Want
up
to
for
thank
election. They're on the ballot, and these are the really competitive races that we're going over here in the metro. District 35A, Anoka Coon Rapids, Zach Stevenson, the DFL candidate, facing Josh Jungling. And Stevenson was first elected in 2018. He has sponsored some of those high-profile bills to legalize marijuana and sports betting. And Jungling is a charitable gambling manager, and we don't have any numbers for that district just yet.
As long as we're talking about the metro area, let's go to Minneapolis Mayor Jacob Fry. He's at DFL headquarters with Rob Olson right now. Let's check in with them on
This is it.
Mayor.
Seeing what's going on.
This is it. Can you feel it? Look at Donald Trump. Donald Trump is ahead by 3 points in Pennsylvania with 55% reporting. This could be it. Ladies and gentlemen, Trump wins the presidency with a Pennsylvania call. That's where we are right now. Donald Trump wins the presidency with a Pennsylvania call. We're here. We're at the moment. This didn't happen. This didn't happen. Praise God. Thank God. We were on our knees, head bowed, praying this morning that Christ would save this nation and deliver us from evil. And now we are at the precipice. Now we are here. Ladies and gentlemen, 26% reporting. Donald Trump is pulling ahead in New Mexico. If Donald Trump wins New Mexico, it is statistically and mathematically impossible for Kamala Harris to win the presidency.
Just step it in, click that.
Donald Trump can't win New Mexico and Kamala Harris go on to win the presidency. It's not possible.
Yeah, run.
Donald Trump. It is 53% called, 53% in, ladies and gentlemen. And Donald Trump is within 5,000 votes in Arizona. I'm telling you, Arizona will flip.
Western battleground
Arizona
states,
will go Trump.
including Arizona.
The next update,
Take a look at
Arizona
that.
goes
Arizona
Trump.
has 11 electoral votes. As you know, it's a battleground, very close here, but a little under half of estimated votes counted there. So neck and neck there in Arizona between Trump and Harris. Let's go to Missouri briefly. Remember, Hawley was facing a Democratic challenger in Lucas Kunce there, and he won this race. Hawley 52 over Lucas Kunce there 46. 45% of estimated votes counted. Hawley goes back to the Senate with another 6-year term. In the meantime here, we do want to bring into the conversation my colleague Austin Westfall in the Live Now newsroom and New York Post's A.G. Gankarski. He joins us as well. We'll start with Austin. Austin, we were trying to get through where the battleground states lie right now as far as the presidential contest is concerned. What do they?
Let's go through them. So let's start up in Wisconsin. Let's just go with what the AP is calling for now. 53% of the vote so far tallied, according to the Associated Press. That's a tight race. 49.5% to 49%. Trump up by 0.5 of a percentage point in Wisconsin. Moving over to Michigan, which is currently, and it's light blue, but if you really look at the results, that's a dead tie, 49.1 to 49.1. It looks like we just lost that. Let's move on to Pennsylvania. Pennsylvania, considered the most pivotal battleground state, 19 electoral votes up for grabs in the Keystone State. Right now, Trump has a roughly over 100,000 vote lead over Kamala Harris right now. So we're looking at Trump having just under 3 points of a lead versus Harris right now. That's the most important battleground. Going down to North Carolina, we're getting in a little more results there. 83% of the votes have been tallied in the Tar Heel state, and right now Trump has just over a 2.5% lead. Going further south to Georgia, 88%. So we've been speaking all night about preliminary results, Andrew. We can toss that out now when we're talking about states like this. Georgia has 88% of the votes tallied. Trump with 51.3%, Harris with 48.1%. I'm going to zoom out again because we've been saying all night, Trump's easiest path to victory: Pennsylvania, North Carolina, Georgia. Still a lot of votes to be counted in Pennsylvania, but for now we're seeing that Trump has a slight margin, especially in Georgia here. We're starting to see some of these counties really fill in. Not surprisingly, seeing this kind of blue blob in the Atlanta metro, but then we see all of these bright red and dark red rural counties that are pretty much balancing out, if not overcoming, some of what we're seeing in some of these larger cities, specifically the Atlanta metro. Let's zoom back out just to make sure that we hit every battleground state that we can. Arizona's the other one. 50% of the votes in here. So half of the vote tallied. Most of this coming from Maricopa County. Maricopa County is most of the ball game in the Grand Canyon state. Right now, we've got a dead tie, 49.6 to 49.6. Interesting to say the least, Andrew, as this map gets filled out. Let's ask AG about it.
So, AG, thanks so much for being with us. AG with the New York Post, of course. What can we glean from some of these battleground states here? Is it accurate to say that some are too close to call? Not Georgia, is it?
You know, I think Georgia is trending toward Trump, but the thing I'm noticing is that blue wall is looking like it's going to crack. I mean, you know, what's happening in Michigan, what's happening in Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, it's going to come down to late returns from these bigger cities.
Yeah.
But
with 57%
reporting. It's looking more like 2016 than 2020. And
Donald Trump,
that's kind of remarkable for people who thought that Harris
is within
had a pathway that
7,000 votes
was more
in
like
Arizona.
Biden's in 2020.
With 53% reporting. It only goes downhill from here. Wisconsin has flipped back to President Trump. It is razor thin margins in Wisconsin, 53%. This is the state of play currently, right now. Ladies and gentlemen, the betting markets have collapsed. The betting markets have imploded right now. What I'm going to show you will make your heart sing. Swing state odds. Donald Trump at 97%. Trump at 88% in Arizona. Trump at 93% in Wisconsin. That surprises me. That's really high. Trump at 84%. Michigan at 78%. Nevada, Trump at 86%. Ladies and gentlemen, this was just posted. Now they've already called Georgia. This has gone parabolic. We're going to win. Elon Musk just said, we've won. Elon Musk is in the room with President Trump in the war room right now. What does Elon Musk know? Elon Musk knows something. Elon Musk knows something. What's happening right now? We have made the decision on this program to do hard data and to bring you as much swift breaking news as we possibly can. Why it is the betting markets, which we ran the algorithms on the betting markets, people laugh at them. The betting markets were better at predicting the national outcome of results for the presidential election than virtually all scientific academic pollsters. So that's why we care so much. Ladies and gentlemen, we are on the precipice. Look at it. We are one state away. One state away. And Donald Trump is about to be 4 points ahead with 60% reporting in Pennsylvania. That's the ball game. I'm going to tell you right now. I'm going to tell you right now exactly what happened. I'm getting information as we speak. I will not tell you who I'm getting it from. I'm getting information independently as we speak from Mar-a-Lago. What the Trump campaign is responding to with Elon Musk is Pennsylvania. They believe that they have data that shows that Pennsylvania is now officially out of reach for Kamala Harris and that the race is over. I cannot currently tell you because it is not my job. I do not professionally call states, right? We do it on this program. I got professionally tell you that Pennsylvania is 100% a lock, but that's what the celebration is. What's going on right now is that President Trump has data on hand, and Elon Musk has spent an enormous amount of time in Pennsylvania, has data on hand that says that Pennsylvania is now mathematically and statistically out of reach for Kamala Harris. Here we are, 60% reporting Donald Trump at 51%, Kamala Harris at 48%. 3-point advantage, Donald Trump. 150,000 vote advantage, Donald Trump. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a absolutely wild
before
moment
election
in
day,
American
how
history.
soon
I am so
results would come in from the western side of the state because they suffered so much during Hurricane Helene and have to have some temporary polling sites out there.
In Georgia, 16 electoral votes, nearly 90% of the votes tabulated. But again, as we noted just a few minutes ago, that area around Atlanta is still an area that the votes have not been fully tabulated.
5,000, 10,000, 15,000 votes dumped in, and if they're D plus 80, that makes a remarkable difference in the narrative.
So we do have some race calls. We do want to get to
11 electoral votes. This state was decided by
level.
just 10,000.
Let's go to Kansas right now. AG in Austin. So you see there, Trump getting Kansas's 6 electoral votes. The Associated Press calling Kansas for former President Donald Trump here. Let's stay in the Midwest. We also have a race call there in the Hawkeye state of Iowa. Iowa's 6 electoral votes going to Donald Trump there over Harris with 56% of estimated votes counted. Now, this is really interesting because we got to dive into some of the numbers there in Iowa, because there was this poll that was put out over the weekend by Ann Seltzer. She's considered the gold standard there of polling mavens in Iowa, AG in Austin. She had Harris winning Iowa by 3 in her poll. She even considered her poll an outlier here, AG, but obviously we're not seeing that here. Trump getting the state, and it's a pretty sizable margin so far, more than half of votes counted.
Yeah, I mean, the Trump campaign said that, they tell people to look at the Emerson poll, which is more of a 10-point poll. The Seltzer poll, the methodology seemed really weird to me. And, this idea that there's this groundswell of women in this very conservative state that elected Kim Reynolds governor and all of that was moving over to Harris, it didn't make a lot of sense. But, when you look at polls, we know this. It's like it comes down to your sample size. It comes down to your random pick. So you got 600, 800,000 people. Not all those people are created equal. So it looks like a real sampling error from Seltzer, back to the drawing board moment. But, every presidential race has really wild polls. And this just happened to be one of them. And it raised questions about Iowa, but I don't think those questions were legitimate. Obviously, voters did what we expected them to do before this election. Leaving aside that Seltzer poll.
Yeah. So, AG, as I zoom in on the map here, we're starting to see that almost every single battleground, in fact, every single battleground that has results, save for Nevada, which we do not have results in for yet, Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania, North Carolina, Georgia, Arizona. None of them have been called in Trump's favor yet. All of them so far are, they're light red. They are leaning red right now as Trump is ahead in these races. What does that mean? We saw so many discussions out there saying that this race would be as close as it possibly could be. Is this something that's fascinating you as we're seeing this night progress? I mean, Georgia, North Carolina, we have over 80% of the vote tallied. Over 60% of the vote has been tallied in Pennsylvania.
Let's go ahead and check.
Michigan has just about...
Here we go. I'm telling you right now, Arizona is going Trump. Arizona's going for Trump. President Trump, so this is 50% reporting. They have 50% reporting. It is literally tied right now within 2,000 votes. 2,000 votes tied. And these are red county, red county, red county, red county, red county, red county are about to report. Oh man. You're cooked. You're cooked. CNN is reporting that Kamala Harris's campaign is a campaign of doom right now. Do we have that clip? Load it up. Kamala Harris's campaign is they have reporters there live. CNN is reporting that Kamala Harris's campaign is terrified and is effectively the mood of the campaign is a campaign of collapse, desperation, fear, and horror. Possibly because they're looking at these numbers. Here we go from CNN. Let's bring it home, baby.
Difference in the margin. So Harris is getting in Pennsylvania 58% of the Latino vote. Again, 6% of the electorate. to Donald Trump's 41%. That's a 17-point advantage. But 4 years ago, Biden beat Trump with Latinos in Pennsylvania by 42 points. So that is a huge movement for Trump in narrowing that.
So, CNN reporting that Donald Trump has now effectively changed the state of American politics, wherein Latino men, and by prominence and power and majority, black men, will be voting Republican. What a world we live in. Ladies and gentlemen, libs are beginning to cry. People, I want to show you something that is going to stun you in the most exciting, tantalizing of ways. The New York Times presidential forecast is now likely Trump. 88% chance of victory. We're here.
We're getting, anxious.
We just need to bring it home, baby.
All right. Well, we do have some results.
We're here.
For the Electoral College map, which is really,
Look at
really
this.
important tonight, obviously, in that presidential
Now it is
race, which
very likely.
Most eyes are on tonight.
Producers, I want that CNN clip.
This is where it
Give me that CNN clip.
Donald Trump with 211.
The CNN clip of them at Kamala Harris's party. The reporter
make their way to 270.
Crying.
You need.
There's a CNN reporter now that is starting to weep and cry.
So that is where
Ladies and gentlemen,
this hour.
we're
the
back,
last
baby.
one to be added to that was Iowa. With
We're
its
back.
6 electoral votes.
Okay, so we're going to go over some states again. Minnesota, again, just, we only have a few districts reporting. Donald Trump leading with the 9% of the votes counted that we have so far.
All right, moving on now to Wisconsin. 10 electoral votes. Donald Trump still winning there by 2 percentage points. 56% of the vote in Wisconsin has been tabulated. Donald Trump maintains a lead in Wisconsin.
Michigan, 15 electoral votes, and this state is a true swing state, and the candidates have spent so much time in Michigan. You have the western side of the state that is reliably Republican. You have the eastern side that's reliably Democratic, but some of that has been changing in recent elections. Right now, with 24% of the vote counted, Donald Trump is leading with 50.1%.
Take a look at Pennsylvania. This is the one with all eyes around the nation on it right now. 62% of the vote tabulated. 51.1%, and I use that 0.1 because it's significant. This will be very tight. Kamala Harris with 48%. Again, what's important to note here tonight as you're watching us is when does places like Philadelphia come in? To a lesser degree, Pittsburgh, but certainly Philadelphia is typically democratically held. They vote historically that way. We'll see what happens and when those votes start to come in, if they haven't already.
And North Carolina, Trump won this state by 1.3% in 2020, 16 electoral votes. And right now, Donald Trump is leading in North Carolina. 77% of the vote has been counted. And so we'll continue to watch to see if more numbers come in from North Carolina. Their polls closed at 6:30 Central Time. So, but they have had some disruption with the storm to the western side of that state.
Similar point in Georgia, although more votes have been counted, 88% of the votes tabulated. This is tightened a bit over the last 20 minutes or so. 51.4 to 48.1. Not a lot of votes separating those two. Some 200,000 votes between Donald Trump and Kamala Harris.
Arizona, 11 electoral votes. This has been so close since numbers were first reported about 51 minutes ago. The polls closed at 8, but we saw our first numbers around 9 p.m. Central Time. Look at this, with half of the votes now counted, 49.7% for Donald Trump, 49.5% for Kamala Harris. And this race was decided in Arizona by 10,000 votes.
Some good news tonight. I can feel the anxiety in the crowd.
I can feel it, ladies and gentlemen. Let's do a little scroll, okay? Let's do a little bit of a refresh here, okay? Oh, no. Right here. My control. Let's rock and roll. Let's hit the feed up. right now and see what some of the smart people are saying on our X feed. Disaster unfolding in Philadelphia right now for Democrats. The GOP is doing historically well in Philadelphia. You know what this is? Black men. You know what this is? Black men. Kamala Harris underperforming in Philadelphia. This is the top line right now in the country. The U.S. Secret Service is about to mobilize resources in Florida to begin defending the president-elect Donald Trump. Do you hear me? Do you hear me? The U.S. Secret Service is preparing to give a full presidential package to President Trump. Do you hear me? President Trump is leading early returns in Minnesota. Bernie Moreno has defeated Sherrod Brown for senator in Ohio. Bernie Moreno will be the new senator from Ohio. Sherrod Brown held that seat since the primordial age.
We don't quite have all of it, but in Wisconsin, again,
he was
nearing
considered
60% of the vote in statewide, razor thin.
He's lost.
But again, one of those questions we asked at the start of the night, getting some clarity, and it's in the most Democratic vote-producing margin county in the state, Dane County. Almost 90% of the vote in here. We're getting close to all the vote in Dane County. Significance here, Democrats rely so much on Dane County in Wisconsin now because they've lost so much ground in the rural areas of this state. I said at the start of the night, every single presidential election this century, the Democrats have added to their margin in Dane County. They have squeezed more and more and more out of it. Take a look at this. 4 years ago, Biden wins Dane County. It's the University of Wisconsin is here by 53 points. And that is a margin of about get that marker working. That's a margin of about 182,000 votes. Name of the game tonight was to hit that number and go further, like they have in every election this century in Dane County, with about 90% and still some votes to come. But you can see how far short they are of that number. 149,000 right now. 182 was the number back in 2020. This is the county Democrats rely on here. Also in the WOW counties, the question coming in tonight, the WOW counties being the big suburban bedroom communities right outside Milwaukee. Coming into the night, they're red now. They've consistently been red. How much less red would they get? We keyed in on Ozaukee County. Okay, this is now 60% of the vote is in Ozaukee County. Significance here is Trump lost in 2016. He won the county, but he lost so much ground that this was the worst Republican performance in Ozaukee County since 1964. This fits the profile demographically of exactly where Democrats thought they could knock it out of the park tonight. Knock it out of the park in Ozaukee County means get this down to single digits, something like that. Instead, 60% of the vote in. We'll see what happens the rest of the way. But so far, Trump has stopped the losses in Ozaukee County, which had been considerable. The decline in Ozaukee County, which had been considerable since he became the Republican candidate in 2016, and now leading by more than 14 points here. So those are some big counties, significant counties, politically significant counties, where we now have a giant chunk of the vote, and we can start to see some patterns developing. Again, just checking in statewide, close to 60%. It is very close there statewide, but that is a county, a few counties where we have that much vote in that size. That's very significant potentially what we just saw in Dane County.
It's just crazy to me how we go from talking to no talking.
To do. And I just want to mention, Nora, a really interesting storyline that you guys have been talking about here in Philadelphia. We know that the 3 wards with the most Puerto Ricans have been voting for, have been turning out in record numbers. And so they are very...
Okay, so let's just start at the beginning.
Well, let me start with this. What is at stake here? What is the answer then?
Do you know why?
You want me to just keep going?
Is that a good thing or a bad thing?
Were there death threats?
How is this possible?
What's wrong with that argument?
Are you saying they lied?
Have you told the government that? Why won't you say the word crisis?
You're not answering my question.
Is that scary?
Does that make sense?
What do you mean? What does that mean? Did any of that make sense? What's your response?
What happened? Why?
It's time for the CBS News original 60 Minutes.
But we destroyed Rana. We destroyed Rana
on Paramount
that night.
Plus.
We destroyed Rana. We did a whole live backstage and everything.
Percentage points difference.
I'm not an advisor to him. Never taken a dollar from him. Just a homie. Okay?
It's unusual
I'm a homie
that we know him that
on the internet with some channel.
All right. Chris Van Cleve in Phoenix, thank you so much. Polls are scheduled to close in 4 more western states at the top of the hour. California, Idaho, Oregon, and Washington. You're watching America Decides.
Morning, a visit with the Wayans at Papa's house, plus affairs of state with the diplomat, and in praise of pigeons. Listen for the trumpet.
Let's do it! Let's go!
Vivek, listen to us. This is how unburdened we can be by what has been. Donald Trump is winning the popular vote. Donald Trump has 46 million votes. Kamala Harris has 40 million votes. Donald Trump is winning the national popular vote. The New York Times is saying that there is an 87% likely chance of Donald Trump winning. Donald Trump has the advantage in all 3 states. And Polymarket is now at 92% for Donald Trump. 7% for Kamala Harris. We just got notice, ladies and gentlemen, that Kamala Harris is working on a concession speech. Do you hear me? Kamala Harris is working on a concession speech right now. Kamala Harris is currently, actively working on what she's going to say when she goes live and calls President Trump. And hands over the keys. The New York Times is now saying that Donald Trump has a 90% chance of winning the presidency. Ladies and gentlemen, I cannot believe it. I cannot believe it. I will admit to you that I thought that this would take weeks. I thought that shenanigans would abound. We have been using this platform to try and outvote. Look at that. There it goes. Idaho. Let's go, Idaho. In Donald Trump category, baby. 246. 270 to win. Idaho for Donald Trump. This is what it looks like. Too big to rig. Trump dance, baby. Let's do the OG Trump dance, baby, for Idaho. Let's go. Big to rig.
More votes in these states. These are the blue wall states, because that is the path that we're looking at. In Wisconsin, they say we know there's a significant amount of vote remaining in Dane and Milwaukee counties, and we are seeing signs of strong performance in the WOW counties. We just have partial data. We don't expect complete results from Wisconsin until tomorrow morning between 3 a.m. and 5 a.m. We shall see.
We shall see. California Senate race, as we talked about, can project that the current Democratic Congressman, Adam Schiff, will win his race against former Major League Baseball player Steve Garvey in that Senate race. And Washington's incumbent Democratic Senator Maria Cantwell will win her 5th term. Not big surprises on that front this evening either. So here's the balance of power in the Senate. 49 for Republicans. The majority is 51. They have flipped 1 seat, 42 for the Democrats, as we wait for a number of these big Senate races to be called. Ohio, Montana, Pennsylvania, all will really dictate the future of the Senate.
And Michigan. Let's bring in our panel. Britt Hume, Dana Perino, Harold Ford Jr. They've been here for a while. Kevin O'Leary, Jessica Tarloff, and Ben Domenech.
Inside of the Donald Trump party.
Surprised?
YMCA is being blasted at a decibel level unheard by man. You know what that means? You know what that means? When you hear the YMCA, no, we cannot. When you hear the YMCA echoing over the hillsides, that means Trump's coming. And Kamala Harris says, do not come. Do not come. Trump goes, I'm going to come. Look at it. Look at it. Oh, man. Oh, man. And this is what it looks like when the effects of Viagra last longer than 4 hours. Call your doctor. It's the most beautiful thing I've ever seen. I'm so excited right now. Ladies and gentlemen, Donald Trump walking around like a king in his kingdom. It looks like Texans don't like open borders and boys and girls sports. After all, thank you for keeping Texas, Texas, says the governor of Texas. The final results for Florida, as we tabulate, Donald Trump wins Florida by 13 points. An absolute slaughterhouse. We have a meltdown of all meltdowns for you. Do we really? Ladies and gentlemen, we have the meltdown of all meltdowns. Let's get it loaded. Let's get it loaded. So we have live action role player Joy Reid, Donald Trump live action role player Joy Reid, who apparently just threw a hysterical rage fit on MSNBC in what can be considered our first great salty meltdown of the night. And we're going to salt that lid. Okay. Let's salt that lid. Look at the poly market. Look at this. Kamala Harris is approaching zero. It's so beautiful. It's so beautiful. Ladies and gentlemen, let's do just a quick, before we throw at anything, let's do a quick check-in on the map. I don't want anybody, oh, Oregon's going red. Okay, great. Oregon's going for Donald Trump. It's less than 2% in. Oh, good. Oregon's going for Trump. I'm telling you, Donald Trump's going to win a state that's like a solid blue state, and it's going to come out of nowhere. Trump's going to win like Washington or Oregon or something.
Georgia, where we're seeing 90% of the vote tallied, and Trump, he's got a 3-point lead above the vice president. Let's head out west. Nevada, not reporting anything in, as far as the Associated Press is telling us so far. That's the one battleground we haven't heard from yet. But Arizona, still at exactly the point it was the last time we checked on it. Exactly 50% of the vote tallied right now. Trump with a 0.2 of a point lead over Harris, Andy.
All right, that is very, very interesting. A good breakdown here as we enter a new hour just to get everyone up to speed on those 7 key battleground states. All right, Austin, we're going to be checking back in with you in just a little bit, but I do want to give you that roundup of some of what we're looking at in some of those states along the West Coast, including in Arizona, including in California.
So it was 65%. a little bit of a Donald Trump bump here in New Mexico. New Mexico is super quirky, whatever. Nobody ever really thought that Donald Trump would win New Mexico. Fun, though. They haven't called New Jersey, which is very interesting. Way closer than it has any right to be in New Jersey, as Donald Trump is only 200,000 votes away with 3 million votes in. Ladies and gentlemen, Pennsylvania has 70% in. 70% in. Ashley, are you ready to cry? Pennsylvania is going to win it for Donald Trump. We have an exclusive look at what Kamala Harris looks like right now. I can't believe that we have access like this, but we do have special access to what Kamala Harris looks like currently at her election night party. Not even CNN has this kind of access. Really special stuff. Okay? Really special stuff. I can't believe we were able to snap this photo. You know, we said pose, Camilla. And show us what you looking unburdened looks like. Be unburdened, we asked. And this is what she did. So thank you for sending that in to us. We learned earlier that you have no idea how to use a phone, so we know this must have been difficult for you. Okay. Boys, I don't want to miss a call. 63% in. Donald Trump up 2.5 points in Wisconsin. 63% in. You're starting to break away. It's starting to break away. It's becoming mathematically impossible for Camilla.
Key counties here again in Northeast Pennsylvania. We started the night saying, and we've said it a few times, that there are only 2 counties in Pennsylvania that are true swing counties. That is to say, they backed Donald Trump in 2016 when he won the state, then they flipped over and they backed Joe Biden when he won the state in 2020. One of them is Erie County, where you see right now about half the vote is in. Harris is ahead here. This is primarily on the strength of the vote by mail. The question is, as the rest of the vote comes in, which we know is Republican friendly, is Trump going to catch Harris there? Put a pin in that one, because the other one, we pretty much have all the vote in right now, and it's flipping. Northampton County, this is where Easton, Pennsylvania is. This is the other county that flipped to Joe Biden in 2020 when he won the state. This fits a pattern we started talking about a little bit ago. There's a substantial Hispanic population in this county, and Donald Trump has made meaningful gains here. Joe Biden won this by a fraction of a point. It's now more than 5 points in Trump's favor, with just about all the vote counted up. We also just got a lot of the vote, almost all of it now, in Lehigh County. And again, Joe Biden won here by 8 points in 2020. It's a little under 5 right now. What's in Lehigh County? The city of Allentown is in Lehigh County. It is a majority Hispanic county. Both candidates paid a lot of attention to this. The Trump folks have bet on making gains with Hispanic voters, particularly in cities like Allentown in Pennsylvania. We don't have all the returns in from the city of Allentown yet, but what we do have shows Trump making significant further gains in that city. We also have from Monroe County just about all the vote in. This is the city of Stroudsburg. East Stroudsburg is here. Again, substantial growing Latino population. And look at this. In 2020, Joe Biden won here by 6.5 points. Kamala Harris now ahead by 0.7 of a point with just about all the vote in. Something else we've been seeing tonight, this is really, I keep pointing it out because I keep seeing it, and I think it's important to know. There's a lot of counties like this in Pennsylvania and Michigan and Wisconsin where Donald Trump either won or came very close in 2016, and he lost meaningful ground in 2020 when he lost all 3 of those states. And we keep seeing this tonight. Where he's landing tonight is back where he landed in 2016. These were winning numbers for Trump. These were losing numbers from Trump. This is another county where you're seeing winning, the 2016 winning numbers for Trump. And just to put Lehigh in perspective here too, Lehigh County, again, I think we showed you 8 for Biden, less than 5 tonight. So you're also seeing it there. We continue to see it. Philadelphia, monitoring this as well. Now, more than 80% of the vote is counted here. Again, compare this to 2020. Biden won here 81-18. We're going to take it a step further back because I want you to see the longer term trend here. In fact, I can take it all the way back to 2012 because I think it's an interesting story. In 2012, Barack Obama won this county by 71 points. Okay, the county, it's Philadelphia. It's the city of Philadelphia. Donald Trump in 2016, he brought it down to 67 points. In 2020, Trump lost ground in the state. Trump lost the entire state of Pennsylvania. But look at this. He basically brought it down to 63 points from 71, 67, 63. And tonight, right now, This is down to 56 points. From 71 in 2012 down to 56. Again, what are we seeing here? What we saw in 2020, the Hispanic precincts of Philadelphia, we saw meaningful improvement for Donald Trump. We're not talking about 10, 20, 30 points here. We're talking about enough, though, to bring 67-point gap down to 63, and tonight, currently 56. The margin for Kamala Harris in Philadelphia right now is just about 300,000 votes. Democrats would love to see that land tonight at 500,000. Boy, they got a long way to go to get there. The one thing Democrats have to hope for in Philadelphia right now is there is a large number of vote by mail ballots that are going to be released. Looking at my clock here, we think in the next 45 minutes or so. That should boost the Harris number in Philadelphia. That should boost the margin there. But she needs to get that back at least to where Joe Biden was 4 years ago. She needs to get that margin way up. I'm just going to take a quick look through the collar counties here because I think we're starting to get some meaningful vote. Again, these collar counties, especially Delaware, Chester, and Montgomery County, have become big
President Trump now
core.
to win the popular vote. Ladies and gentlemen, tell Kamala I want her to know it was me. It's too good. It's too good. The final revenge. No tweet from Kamala Harris HQ in 4 hours.
Yep, I just was on their page.
Bernie Moreno winning in the Senate. So exciting for us. Okay, boys, I've asked for a couple of videos. Let's go ahead and lock and load. We've been teasing a lot of this stuff. Because Pennsylvania has not been called yet, because Pennsylvania still looks like this, okay? 71% in. 150,000 vote margin for Donald Trump. Pennsylvania has not been called yet. I want to show you what
we just bouncing around.
Absolute
underscoring
chilling, blood-curdling panic looks like on MSNBC.
Country. So here we have
as they talk through
of the vote in.
The dominance of President Trump's performance in Pennsylvania. Ladies and gentlemen, this is MSNBC all but admitting that it's over. As I can report to you that the Secret Service,
please click that like, it's free,
has now moved massive security vehicles to Mar-a-Lago. It's happening. It's happening. The Secret Service has now moved a full presidential detail to Mar-a-Lago. They know. They know. The internals are already there. Elon Musk just tweeted, game, set, match. Elon Musk just said, Pennsylvania's won. We're finished here.
He ain't say that.
Ladies and gentlemen, we haven't called it yet, so we're going to stay locked in. Stay locked in.
As you can see, I got Donald Trump.
But here's what they're saying on MSNBC. This is doom for them. Let's go.
Another. And here in Berks County, again, with one of the larger Hispanic populations in Pennsylvania, here's Trump with just about, that's basically the vote here, winning it by 13. Look at that. 4 years ago, he won it by 8. This is exactly what the Trump campaign said it was going to do in a place like Burke County. It was going to take that and it was going to make it double digits. They've made it double digits in Burke County. We check in on Luzerne County. And again, we've been talking about this one. As that same day vote comes in, this is Wilkes-Barre, this is Hazleton, another county with a substantial Hispanic population, one of the highest in Pennsylvania. Now Trump has hit his 2020 number there, and he's got a long way to go here. All that vote that's still to come in, we expect to be election day vote. The pattern, the trend is pretty clear here. So again, you're seeing Trump in good position in one of those big counties, densely populated counties in northeast Pennsylvania. Take a look down here at Cumberland County. We talked about this one a little while ago. This was a big hope for Democrats in Pennsylvania coming in tonight. Again, 95% means basically it's all in Cumberland County. Again, 2020 looked like this. It's basically the same. It's a fraction of a point different. But that's a win for the Trump campaign because in the context, look at this. It was an 18-point race. Trump won here by 18 points in 2016. Democrats made a huge jump. This was one of their biggest in the state in 2020, bringing it down to 10. They wanted to keep this going tonight. They didn't. Trump was able to stop the losses in Cumberland County. So again, that's something that encourages that his campaign exactly wanted to see right there. We're starting to get Erie County. Again, this would be the vote by mail in Erie County. The story we've been talking about elsewhere now is going to play out in Erie. This is the bellwether. It's one of the two that switched sides to Biden in 2020. The name of the game in the final two-thirds of the vote is, can Trump catch Harris with the election day vote? Just checking in on Philadelphia. We're up to two-thirds of the vote now in Philadelphia. And again, this is just Philadelphia, the city. And again, I think this is becoming a bit of a theme we're seeing in multiple states now, the Hispanic vote. Why did Trump make some progress? It was small, but it was there in Philadelphia in 2020. It was because he improved with Hispanic voters in Hispanic areas of the city. With two-thirds of the vote in Philadelphia now, it's 77-21. Well, that looks terrible, but compare that to 2020, and look at that. Trump is running 3.5 points better in Philadelphia than he did in 2020. Harris now 4 points off the Biden number. There is more mail to come, more vote by mail to come in Philadelphia. That will be a boost to Harris, but there's also more same-day vote to come, and you can see Trump is running above his 2020 levels there. So where this lands, the Trump campaign's goal in Philadelphia, is basically get that Biden number under 80%. So far, they're on course to do that. There's the wild card of the mail there that adds a lot of volatility to this. But again, you're starting to, as these counties fill in, you're starting to see some patterns, and patterns you're not just seeing in one state, you're seeing them in multiple states right now.
Trump has dominantly rolled through the Keystone State like one of those massive fracking vehicles, pulling votes out of communities, inspiring, surviving an assassination attempt, giving hope to the state where our very independence was ratified. Independence Hall. And now, ladies and gentlemen, at the precipice of the new American Revolution, we sit. The new American Revolution. Here we are.
It's that split ticket, or as you
we
said,
are watching.
It just didn't boost,
74%
the vice president. I was just looking at my path to victory. There's some other
Pennsylvania.
very narrow ones, some pretty obscure options here, but we are left with a total of 5 paths for her at this point.
If the vice president were to lose Wisconsin and that blue wall was pierced, which was going to be her easiest way to victory.
Let's go.
On that note, let's check in with CBS Morning's co-host, Tony DeCopel. He is at Trump headquarters in West Palm Beach. Hi there, Tony.
Hey, good evening, Nora. While you all are characterizing the race there, I'll characterize the room in just 30 seconds. We've got 10:53. Time of dancing has begun here at Trump headquarters. YMCA came over the loudspeaker, and Trump seemed to be pulling ahead in Pennsylvania. Loud cheers in the room. Our colleague Olivia Rinaldi says they're now looking at the exit polls in Trump world, quote, gleefully. That's the word from Trump world. And the young staffers, junior staffers, according to Jake Rosen, another one of our colleagues, they are now looking for apartments in Washington, D.C. and talking openly about what jobs they want in the new administration. So they are measuring the drapes, so to speak. I also talked to some of the Trump supporters in the room. How are you feeling in one word? I heard fantastic, I heard relieved, and I heard vindicated, Nora.
All right, Tony DeCopel, thank you. Now let's check in with Chief White House correspondent Nancy Cordes. She is at the Harris headquarters at Howard University in Washington, D.C. And Nancy, we knew this would not be an early night, given how close the polls have been, and it looks like it is going to be a very.
Well, we've been saying for weeks this rate might not be called tonight. No, it will be called tonight.
What are you hearing? I know that the Harris.
Those of you who were around for 2020 know this well. Yeah, it takes time to count all the votes, and the votes will be counted. This is how our system works. The race won't come into focus until the morning hours. We'll keep you updated with more information. This is what we built for. Let's finish up what we have in front of us. Get some sleep. Get ready. Kamala Harris. I'm like losing. I'm gasping for air. The Kamala Harris campaign just admitted that they lost. They just told their supporters to go home and get sleep. We are team no sleep here.
Hey man, if you ain't,
we are team never quit. We are team always grind. We've beaten them, and they know it.
Trying to grow my channel. I never
Here's
do lies.
the map. Oh, is that the Senate map? Ladies and gentlemen, the Senate map. Let's toss it up. Or we can go over here so we can navigate. Here, why don't we hop on over? Why don't we hop on over to my command here? Let's navigate. Ladies and gentlemen, is Kamala Harris going to say the election's stolen? Is that what they're planning on doing? This is too good. It's biblical. It's biblical. Republicans have won the Senate. Republicans have 50 Senate seats. Republicans have won the Senate. This is the Senate map. We haven't spent a lot of time here, but I think it's going to be really, really important. Pennsylvania is looking like Dave McCormick will win his Senate seat. That'll be a pickup for Republicans. Eric Hove in Wisconsin has a dominant lead, 20,000 votes, 65% in. That is a dominant lead. This is unbelievable. This is only 1% reporting. Royce White, is he going to win against Amy Klobuchar in Minnesota? Oh man, and John Tester down bad. That slob. Who would ever vote for John Tester? He's going to lose.
For us here in California,
John Tester
you look at this change, this massive reconstruction of the Republican Party under Donald Trump's leadership and the Latino vote here in California.
Why is my internet?
The largest group now. And this points to the future of the Republican Party, because actually, if you think about the Latino vote, how long have we been told that the Democrats benefit from the diversity of the nation and the future? Look what's happening. The more diverse America becomes, the better Republicans can do if we keep going with this new Republican Party that Trump has fashioned.
Yep, it's a very good point. And, you know, it's interesting, Kayla McGee-White, because we talk about Proposition 36, and Kamala Harris was asked about Prop 36. She would not weigh in on this. She wouldn't say whether she voted for it or against it, and that's significant.
And this was one of many policies where she refused to provide a clear answer on where she stood. And, you know, this strategy of avoidance, which we've seen repeatedly throughout this campaign from her, it was a gamble. She thought that because she was slipping in the campaign at the last minute and because she was running against Trump, that voters wouldn't notice or they wouldn't care, that she was giving them a whole bunch of nothing. But I'll just say, I'm from one of these swing states, from Michigan, and even in the swing states, it matters a lot where Kamala Harris stands on something like Proposition 36. Because if she doesn't want California to take crime seriously, what about the rest of the country?
Yeah, and nobody takes crime more seriously than Gianno Caldwell. You have studied this, Gianno, and this is a big deal going forward for California should this pass.
That's right, and that's why I started the Caldwell Institute for Public Safety. I got to tell you, I'm glad to see that many voters in the state of California have been pushing back against crime. Unfortunately, Gavin Newsom has been very supportive of the initiative of Prop 47. He thinks that there shouldn't be any changes. But this is a major problem, and I think we see this not just with this particular prop, but we've seen it with a lot of progressive prosecutors funded by George Soros, people like George Gascon, who people are fed up with, and that's why Nathan Hochman, who's running for district attorney of Los Angeles County, is predicted to potentially win this one really big. I think the Democrats who've fashioned the idea that if you be soft on crime, then there's going to be criminal criminal justice reform when in fact it's been nothing but justice for the criminal.
It's going to win. It's probably going to win big, Jody Armour, but the governor of California is against it. He thinks it's just going to raise the number of people going to California prisons.
Yeah, well, the fact that Harris wouldn't answer the question about what she voted on this, a former prosecutor, she said, I'm the top cop. She, her bona fides are that she's law and order.
She was one behind Prop 47.
Right, and so she wasn't, she's a frictionless weather vane. She gives you that impression. Blowing whatever direction the wind blows, she's willing to go there, and that was another example. She should have said, I was the top cop, I'm 436, I see the error of my ways, I see crime going in a certain direction or whatever, but instead, she does this frictionless weather vane routine, and people
But you can't expect her to do that when she was the one posting links about rioters and looters during the George Floyd era. This is not somebody who's about law.
The New York Times is...
Oh, man. It is so beautiful. Oh, that is so freaking awesome. They have, you can see it. Look at the faces. We have our new crying memes. Our new crying memes. Oh, this is glorious. The Kamala campaign has told us that they are quitting, effectively. Elon Musk has said that he has the information that President Trump has won already. And we now have our new crying meme. Frame it. Put it on the wall. It's so beautiful. Look at it. Look at it. Rachel Maddow is now crying on TV. Put it on the wall. I want it on the wall. Okay, ladies and gentlemen. All right. All right. We have to look. We have to look at the Donald Trump. We have to look at the Donald Trump party versus the Kamala party right now. We'll show you what's up. We'll show you what's up. So this is Vivek Ramaswamy posting from the Donald Trump party at Mar-a-Lago. Mike Lee, Tuberville. These are two senators. They're awesome. With Vivek at Mar-a-Lago, everyone looking chipper and happy. Look at these homies. Every single one of them, a friend of the show. They've all been on the show. You recognize all of them. And now, ladies and gentlemen, we'll bring you a clip from the Kamala Harris campaign, where the reporter, people are getting sick in the crowd.
What happened? Yeah, I guess they tired of us Donald Trump supporters because my shit keeps freezing.
They're getting physically sick at the Kamala Harris party.
This race as toss-up in Michigan. CBS News rates this race as a toss-up. The Secretary of State there telling us they could have the vote counted by midnight. That doesn't mean we'll understand or know what that full vote is, but that could come quickly. And Wisconsin.
Here is
CBS News.
The saltiest lib of the night so
this
far
race as
that we can see.
Toss-up at
Get your
this
cups
hour.
ready.
Let's check
fill
in
them
on
up.
more of the Sun Belt
Joy
states,
Reid
including
having a freaking meltdown.
Arizona.
Make sure you got your salt shakers in the comment
Just about
section.
half
Let's
the
go
vote
chat.
there
Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go.
Arizona. How close it
You just think about just the last 2 weeks and the things that Donald Trump has said into the TV that people could hear him say and do, the vulgarity in front of families with young children, and the threats to do mass deportation and a violent start to his dictatorship on day one, and you name it. If all of that gets you half of the votes,
48, 49%.
What does it tell you? I mean, we need to really take a step back and think about what does that say about us?
I think
what it says about you. Hey, lady. Hey, race lady. Let me tell you what it says about you. What it says about you is that you are no longer powerful. Nobody believes you. Nobody trusts you. You've burned your credibility. And as much as you tried to be like my boy Donnie here, as much as you tried to get yourself a Donald Trump swoop, didn't work. Didn't work. It means that nobody believes you, listens to you. You have no more influence. You are no longer useful to the machine. Ladies and gentlemen, Michigan just red. Now Michigan is breaking red. 39% in, Donald Trump has taken the lead in Michigan. The mainstream media is dead. Oh, man. Oh, man. We are ready. We're ready. We're ready. The Secret Service is rolling up. Do we have another salty clip from Kamala's party? Okay. We have another salty clip from Kamala's party? Yeah, the silence. Oh, this is great. Keep sending them, Ashley. Keep sending them. Let's go. This is going to be the moment. Ladies and gentlemen. So apparently, on CNN, they have live reporters at Kamala's victory party, and they're like, everyone's leaving. People are getting sick. It's completely silent. Nobody's cheering. Nobody is celebrating. This is dead. Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. Have a watch.
Jake, let me just give you a gut check here about what we are hearing here as we've been sitting here reporting from the Harris headquarters. And I think the operative word right now is silence. There's not a lot being said because the Harris team appears to be searching for bright spots in the map as these results very, very slowly come in.
Searching for bright spots and also